Hampshire in the summertime. The White Mountains and beautiful lakes providing a wonderful backdrop for this weekend's NASCAR action. Today, the NASCAR Nationwide Series races at the 1 Mile New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Being located in the Granite State's appropriate, this track is tough. The racing and the hits can be as hard as the rock this state's nicknamed for. With the championship close, points are at a premium for those chasing the title. Ground lost here could be haunting come season's end. Victory is 200 tough laps away today on the 1 mile track at New Hampshire. It is a simply beautiful summer afternoon in northern New England, a beautiful day for a race, and ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown, presented by One Main Financial from the Magic Mile, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. A race weekend here always packed full. There are 4 NASCAR series competing here over 3 days, with today's on-track action beginning over 6 hours ago and culminating now with the 200-lap Nationwide Series event. Starting order for this race was set in qualifying at 10:30 Eastern this morning, and we may have a trend developing here. After getting his first Nationwide Series win of the season last week in Kentucky, Brad Keselowski scored his first pole position of the season today. The defending series champ going to lead this field to the green flag very shortly. A look at the first 5 rows of the grid. Kevin Harvick, who finished second to Brad at Kentucky, qualified second to him today. 5 double-duty Sprint Cup drivers and 5 Nationwide Series Championship eligible drivers. Among the top 10 starters, Eric Almirola, Reed Sorensen, Trevor Bayne, Justin Allgaier, and Brian Scott. We make note that 11 of the last 12 winners in this event at New Hampshire have come from those top 10 starting spots we just showed you, and the first 2 rows are where most of the winners have come from lately. Our first interview is with a guy in those first 2 rows, the highest qualified championship-eligible driver, Eric Almirola, with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan. The car owned by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Company starts forth with you aboard today, Eric. And drivers have said this is one of the most difficult and challenging racetracks on the circuit. Why?
Well, it's flat, and we carry a lot of speed into the corners, so it's hard to get your car to handle the way you want it to. And the corners are so long. You spend more time in the corners here than you do on the straightaway. So obviously, your corner speeds are very important here. And thankfully for us this weekend, our GT Vodka Chevrolet has been pretty good. So looking forward to the race today.
You are credited with 1 series victory coming in 2007 at a flat 1 mile racetrack in Milwaukee. This is a flat 1 mile racetrack. What's the key to being a good flat track racer?
Well, I just think it's having a good car. I've been fortunate to come to racetracks like these and have good cars, and I feel like I just have a good feel for what I need when I come to these kind of places. You know, these places are sometimes challenging for some, but for me it just kind of comes naturally. I grew up racing on flat tracks in Florida, and I feel like I got a pretty good feel for how to carry enough speed into the corner and not slip my tires, but be able to run fast lap times, and that's really what it takes to be good at these kind of places. So the biggest thing for me is just having good cars. So Pops and all the boys on our GT Vodka Chevrolet this weekend have brought a really nice car for us, and hopefully we'll keep it up front all day.
Hey, have some fun today.
All right.
Eric Almirola starting fourth. Alan?
All right, Doc, thanks. We talked about a packed full weekend. 4 different series racing here means a very full infield of transporters. So our ESPN pit studio takes a little different approach. Just as the fans have staked out their viewing spot on the backstretch hill, we've staked out a spot for us. Inside the pit studio, Alan Bestwick, along with former New Hampshire race winner Rusty Wallace and NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. Let's follow up on that theme. True or not true, this racetrack is pretty difficult.
It's pretty difficult, but it's not physically tough like Bristol and maybe Dover, Delaware, racetracks like that. There's so many things going on at this particular track when it comes to handling and how to negotiate the corners. That's what makes it difficult. You can lock the brakes up real easy. You can slide the tires into turn 1. You got low air pressure. You're always moving around inside the car. A lot of things you got to negotiate, but not physically tough.
Yeah, Rusty's exactly right. And as I talk to guys, the veteran guys like Joe Nemechek, Carl Edwards, or Kevin Harvick, and you talk about racing this racetrack, they say the key word is patience, because you have to let your car roll at this racetrack. You barrel off down to that corner like we heard Eric Almirola talking about. You have to get out of the throttle and let it roll until it changes directions. Then it's hammered down. These young guys get in here, they drive it in too deep, they stab the brake, they're back in the throttle, and they're all over the racetrack. You got to be patient to get to victory lane.
Guy whose job is to get somewhere as fast as he can. Be patient.
Be patient.
It's okay. Targeting one particular thing that gives the drivers difficulty here a lot, Rusty, on starts and on restarts, turns 1 and 2. Why?
Absolutely, turn 1 is the most difficult part on a restart because you bomb down in that corner, Alan, with cold tires and low air pressure, and there's no grip, especially if you're the guy on the bottom of the racetrack. You're going to get in there, you're not going to have the downforce, you're not going to have the grip, and notoriously, you slide up into the guy alongside you, and we see big wrecks. Hope we don't see one today, but we have seen them in the past because of those cold tires.
Now, making that initial start even more difficult, the pavement's going to be a little mixed up at the start of this race. Well, not the pavement, but the rubber coating the top. Just moments ago, finishing up the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series 100-lap race. Usually one of the best of the weekend. That's Ryan Newman in that neon green number 7. That's owned by Sprint Cup crew chief Kevin Mannion.
Bono had a good hot rod, and he had the right guy behind it. Ryan Newman's out front digging all day long, had a good race at the end, and took him to the checkered flag.
Rather caution-free race for the Modified Series here at this racetrack. Newman passing Ronnie Silk in the late going to score the win. Now, these Modifieds run very different tires than the Nationwide Series will use, and that's the issue at the start of the race. For more on that, let's head over to our Craftsman Tech Garage and champion crew chief Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, AB. There's a tremendous amount of difference in the tires that they run on the modified car earlier today and what we're going to run on the Nationwide cars. You can see the difference in the width, the height of the tire, but more importantly, the compound. The compound is the surface of the tire, and this is a durometer. This is how we check the hardness of the rubber. This is like a sponge, really soft for a light car. Now, this tire over here, quite a bit harder. But what the deal is, as the rubber wears off, you see this carnage right here. You can see it on the top of the racetrack. But what you can't see is the rubber that goes down into pavement. And that's the area where it's embedded into the surface. And until these guys run several laps to clean this surface off and put this rubber back down in its place, you might see them sliding around quite a bit here at the first of the race. AB?
We got carnage in the tech garage.
Carnage.
We might have carnage on the track. All right, Tim, thanks. So we'll keep an eye on that in the opening laps of the race. Coming up, yesterday, Travis Pastrana made his final oval track tune-up before he makes his Nationwide Series debut. You'll hear from the Action Sports Star in a minute. We'll be joined by the man many of the young drivers in today's race say was their racing idol when they were growing up.
Idolizing, me or looking up to something that I did makes me really proud.
We got our sweet Red Sox jerseys. We're pretty excited about that. Got our names on the back so you don't get us confused.
Ricky versus Trevor, the two young teammates took their constant off-track competition to the home of their team's co-owner. See who can throw a Frisbee further off the Green Monster, among other things, when NASCAR Countdown continues from the Magic Mile in New Hampshire.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown, presented by One Main Financial. Your needs, your goals, your dreams. And in part by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences.
62 laps remaining.
It's outside of everybody's normal pit window. We've seen before that these teams can really stretch that if they need to.
So we need to make about 6 more laps here before we can be good.
Brad Keselowski, the race leader, is taking the high side. 10, we're green.
Friday night racing at its best.
As here are the race leaders still going after each other.
Well, we all play poker, man. Kevin and I race really well together.
I'm just going to keep slowing down so you get near me. I wouldn't want to be the guy that ran Kevin Harvick out of gas.
Well, about 2 laps short. You want to go for it? But you have told me before now we're screwed. Boy, it's hit this time. It's this time. You sure?
5 laps remaining. And here comes Harvick.
Don't see it. Keep going.
That was a miscommunication right there that cost Harvick a ton of time and fuel.
You just got to make up his damn mind up on the box. You just can't fumble over yourself when it comes crunch time.
Brad Keselowski is going to get the win.
Now, someone famously said that it ain't bragging if you can back it up. Brad talked a little, and he led a lot last week. Anybody ask you to tone it down this week, or can we expect similar fun if the situation presents itself?
Well, I mean, it's racing. It's supposed to be fun. We're not curing cancer by any means. So, you try to have fun where you can. And you had a great car last week. And so you just wanted to make sure that we didn't run ourselves out of gas, both me or Kevin. And So it ended up working, I guess, at the end of the day. So that was a success. But, Kevin's got Elliott, who's running for the championship. And he's got his own team. He's got a lot to push for. And certainly he could have pushed me and ran both of us out of gas. And probably Elliott would have got a better finish. And so I just wanted to make sure that he didn't do that. And, and I could understand if he did. So, we still want to win, get the best finishes we can. We've got a great shot at doing that today with the Ruby Tuesdays Dodge. And see if we can't win here in Loudon.
Brad, with that win last week, is the championship team back in 2011?
I think speed is what really answers that question. You got to have speed and execution, and we really haven't had both up until last weekend. There's been races where we've executed but not really had the speed, been races where we had speed and didn't quite execute. And then you also got to have luck. I forgot about that part. But, I think we saw all three come together last week. We're seeing pieces of it come together this week. We have good speed, obviously qualifying on the pole. So, I think time will tell, but it looks really good.
All right, good speed and lots of fun. And the guy who we beat last week is standing by with Vince Welch.
And a lot of teams would be happy with second place, feeling pretty good about it, carrying some momentum. You weren't particularly happy with the way things ended last week, place aside. What was the emphasis this week as you approached this race?
I think it was good. I think everybody on our Ream Chevrolet understood that we needed to do some things differently, and we got all that situated this week with David and the engineer, and feel like we're better from last week. So everybody knows this team was is on the racetrack to win races, and we've been running good every week, and we just got to keep doing that. But got to do the small things right too. So everybody's doing well. The car's running good, and looking forward to today.
Speaking of winning races, you have won here before. Yet to get in victory lane this season. What do you need today out of that 33 car to get your first win of the year?
Yeah, I don't really think we need to do anything different. We just need everything to go our way. Just keep ourselves in the game all day and keep doing what we're doing. So the cars are plenty fast, and we just got to do all the small things right.
Yeah, they've been good every single week, Alan. You know their time is coming.
Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski starting on the front row for today's race. Thank Dave and Vince for that. A follow-up now on some of the radio traffic we heard in that Kentucky race a week ago. First, Brad Keselowski talking to Harvick's crew chief while they were coming down. As a fan, I found it really entertaining and a lot of fun. How'd you react to it?
I reacted that Brad Keselowski was very, very nervous that he was going to run out of gas and Kevin Harvick was going to beat him. That's the reason he started talking on the radio and trying to rattle somebody up. I just caught, just like I said, he was nervous.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the thing I found of it is I talked to David Hyder, and he said he didn't even hear it. He didn't have the frequency set to Brad's radio and vice versa. He had no idea until after the race. But the thing that popped into my mind was, oh, my goodness, they're going to have to hear about this all week next week because that's all we're going to ask him. And I know that's going to aggravate Kevin Harvick, and that was the biggest thing I took from it.
Yeah. When we last saw Kevin Harvick was post-race at Kentucky. He was not happy with the way that race finished. Kevin is not only David Hyder's driver, but he's his team owner as well. Any fallout for them from last week?
Yeah, I spoke with David, like I said, and I asked him, I said, it's got to be a very, very difficult situation. How did the week go? And he says, well, Kevin, you know how he is. He's very, very demanding. He says, look, we show up to win these races. He said, I'll tell Kevin when I think something's wrong, and he obviously will tell me when things aren't going very well. But he says, these races they all come down to track position and fuel mileage. And he says, I feel like as a crew chief, my job is on the line every weekend to make that call. It's not an easy one, but somebody's got to do it, and I want to make that call.
Brad, I still think that Hyder's just a little bit nervous. I was standing down there pit road before they qualified. He looked at me and said, oh, man, I hope I got this car tight enough. So you could tell he was just a little bit nervous.
They want to win, though. Yeah. Kevin Harvick's all about winning, and it's a good combination, he and David Hyder.
Would be no surprise if Harvick got into victory lane today. We wondered what some of the fans coming to the race today thought about drivers letting the verbal volleys fly in NASCAR.
Because I love to watch and listen to my driver trash talk the other drivers.
I like it. It's part of their nature. It's how they feel at the moment.
Just the raw nerves and the emotion that comes out of them.
It's in the heat of the action, and they don't have a chance to really kind of think about what they're going to say. It's like it's immediate, it's honest and true.
Depends on if they're mad at their crew or they're having a good car. It's you feel the excitement of what they feel in the car.
The nerve of y'all to have something to say about my accent.
Love those New England race fans. The countdown continues in a minute.
A late barrage of goals from the United States lifting them into the World Cup final, seeking to become the first three-time World Cup champion. The opponent, a fluid and artistic Japanese team. The final of FIFA World Cup 2011, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on ESPN.
Look forward to seeing how Team USA fares in the World Cup final on Sunday. On this Saturday, we are live at New Hampshire Motor Speedway with NASCAR Countdown, presented by One Main Financial, getting ready for today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Friday, here at New Hampshire, action sports star Travis Pastrana in the field for the NASCAR K&N East Series race. His final tune-up before making his nationwide debut in 2 weeks in Indianapolis. A little wall scrape early led to a somewhat disappointing result here. Dave Burns spoke with Pastrana about his continuing stock car education after Friday's race was over.
Well, it was a 125-lap race for Travis, but you may as well have called it final practice because it's his last competition before he joins us in the Nationwide Series. What was the takeaway from today, Travis? You had some trouble, finished 22nd.
Definitely need to work on my qualifying laps. I mean, car felt really good in practice. We were, always top 10, right around top 5 throughout the practice sessions. And, I ran into the wall in the qualifying. We decided to fix it, took it to the back, and I just was too aggressive and hit a wall in the second lap and just bent the front end and never got the car back from there. But, the guys worked so hard, and it's just it was a little disappointing, definitely result. And this last one before Nationwide where it even gets tougher. So, stayed on the lead lap, which was good, I guess, but it was a rough race.
Now, the track we'll see you at next about half the size, but you'll be joining us on that crazy back-and-forth weekend. LA X Games back out to Indy for the Nationwide race. Preview that for us and maybe what you're looking most forward to.
Definitely just looking the most forward to trying to land that 720. It's going to be very difficult. And then from then on, I can really focus on the four-wheel stuff. So, it'll also be good to get back in that rally car. So at X Games, it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's a huge weekend for me and definitely kind of the ending of one chapter of action sports and kind of coming into NASCAR and seeing if we can focus more of our attention here and see if we can get a little bit better than the 24th.
22nd, but that's okay. But it was only his 5th stock car race ever. So Travis joining us in a couple weeks, and I think he'll make it exciting either way.
All right, Dave, thanks. The week after next, you will see a lot of Travis on the ESPN networks. X Games 17 from Los Angeles. Pastrana competing in Moto X Best Trick and Rallycross, after which he'll zip across to Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Raceway Park for the Nationwide Series race. Should be a lot of fun. And, of course, that Sunday, July 31st, it's the Brickyard 400, the kickoff to our ESPN coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, telecast presented by Golden Corral. It starts at noon Eastern in 2 weeks. Didn't Rusty do a 720 at Bristol several years back, but touching down on the roll? Never mind.
That boy ain't right.
As we get ready for race 19 in the NASCAR Nationwide Series season, we check the championship standings and find that this week, Elliott Sadler holds the top spot.
At this moment.
By a mere 4 points or 4 finishing positions in a race over Reed Sorensen. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is not all that far behind. This championship is so close. How close, you ask? Well, it's so close that the lead has been hard to hang on to. After 5 of the last 6 races, the point lead has changed hands, and the leader has never been ahead of second by more than 9 points.
Wow.
That's not much.
That's wonderful.
Let's hear from the top 4, beginning with Doc.
And Alan, you mentioned the tightest points battle in series history, and of course, Elliott Sadler back atop the standings for the 4th time this year. Elliott, how does this tight battle, though, impact your strategy here today?
Well, strategy-wise, we just have to be safe and we have to be consistent, and we can't, we've seen a lot of races go to fuel mileage races this year so far, only halfway through the season, but we've got to be on the conservative side of that. We got to make sure we see the checkered flag and don't have any issues. So that's our game plan. Stay up front, try to be consistent each week, but not try to paint ourselves in a corner with fuel mileage and stuff like that.
You guys made a lot of changes on the car after the final practice session. How much did you lean on your car owner, Kevin Harvick, in terms of setup help?
We did lean on him a lot last night, and we made a big change and a big direction towards he with front end stuff and all that they're doing. So hopefully we made the right changes for the day because we feel that Kevin's very fast in his car, and hopefully One Main Financial Chevrolet will be just as good today. But it's great to have teammates like that. It's great to be able to lean on Kevin, who's such a good driver at this racetrack on flat racetracks. So hopefully we can incorporate some of the things that they did and make our car go pretty well today.
Now, you are our in-race reporter today, and you wanted to invite the fans to participate, so have at it.
I definitely want to invite the fans to participate today. Look, go to ESPN.com, go to the NASCAR page, and look under In-Race Reporter. Submit some questions. I'm sure the guys, Rusty and the guys, will be able to talk to me over the radio today during the race. Ask me anything you want, and we'll make sure we give you a great answer for it. And thanks for tuning in to ESPN today.
And we're going to?
We're going to send it over to Vince, who's with my man, Reed Sorensen.
That's exactly right. Reed chasing Elliott in the championship and just 4 points away, second in the championship chase. You're back in the 32 car for the rest of the season now. How does that consistency benefit you as you chase the championship?
I think it'll be a good thing. We had some great runs leading up into last week, and
hopefully to restart that again today. This is one of my favorite racetracks, and so far the Dollar General car has been really good and qualified about where I thought it would. So hopefully the adjustments we made this morning should be good for a long run. So looking forward to a great race and trying to get this 32 car back in victory lane.
You like this track, and short tracks have been a strength of your guys' program. You've got 3 in a row here. What kind of opportunity does that present?
I think it's a good one for us. Being 4 points out of the lead right now, coming here and then going to ORP in Nashville, those places I think will be great for our race team and maybe gain some momentum and hopefully get back on top of the points there.
Yeah, Reed Sorensen just 4 out of the championship chase, and now let's go over to Dave Burns.
Those first 2 guys in the championship, they've got a lot more laps here at New Hampshire than Ricky Stenhouse. You know that. How do you overcome that today?
I think it's with a great team that Roush Fenway has here. Our Red Sox Fenway Park 100 Years Mustang was pretty decent in practice. We got a little loose in qualifying, had to get out of it. But our qualifying, we weren't too worried about it. We start 14th. Should be able to drive up towards the front and hopefully have a good day.
The team tells me you're getting much better fuel mileage this week. Did they keep the horsepower for you?
I hope so. It's tough to tell.
Did you feel it in practice?
It's tough to tell in practice, man. You really are able to tell once you get out there with the other guys and see when they pick the throttle up and when you pick the throttle up. But Roush Yates has been giving us great power all year. Now we're fine-tuning the fuel mileage because these races seem to go fuel mileage. But hopefully we got that tuned just right where we have enough horsepower to win but still have a good fuel mileage.
We'll see how the 6 car does in the backyard of the Red Sox. Dr. Punch?
Absolutely. And Justin Allgaier is 4th in the point standings and 8th on the starting grid. And you were just talking a moment ago, this new Goodyear tire here has a lot of extra grip. That means, though, you have to be very, very careful. Why?
Absolutely. This tire it's been a lot of fun to drive on. Unfortunately, you can overdrive the grip and end up burning your tires off, I think, and I think they'll start going away. So I want to make sure that you get a good run throughout the whole course of when you got the tires on, because I think that the tires are going to be on the car a long time just because of track position. It's going to be so important. So try not to overcook the tires and see where the race goes.
A few weeks ago, you milked the fuel mileage to win at Chicagoland. Now, given the tight points battle, how willing are you to roll the dice and gamble late on fuel today?
Well, I have to wish my wife a happy birthday because today is her birthday, and I would really like to get into victory lane to give her, a good present for her birthday. Running out of gas is not an option, so we're going to probably try to push the fuel mileage as far as we can. But I think, throughout the course today, we're going to have to see where we stack up track position-wise, and if it just doesn't make sense, then obviously we need to stay on the same strategy. But special thanks to Nationwide Insurance for all they do for the sport. It's going to be a great race. Going to have a lot of fun today, and just looking forward to it. I think if as long as the cars, we can keep the cars underneath of us. It's really hot. Keep the cars underneath of us, and you have good pit stops. I think we'll have a good shot at it today.
Well, to heck with the points battle, Alan. That's pressure having to win on your wife's birthday here. Boy, that's a lot of pressure on this young driver.
Yeah, honey, bring me home a trophy. Sure, no problem. We wish Justin good luck today in trying to do that. NASCAR changed the championship system this year in a couple of ways. One being to make drivers declare which championship they'd race for, maximum of 1. The intent in this series was to put more focus on the Nationwide Series regulars. Has it worked?
It's really worked good, in my opinion. I mean, we're talking about them all the time. Whether we're in the booth or whether we're down here in the studio, we're constantly talking about the nationwide-only drivers now. Last year was a lot of cup talk, but I like this system. It's working good.
Oh, it's absolutely worked. NASCAR has hit a home run with what they've done this series. Now we're talking about guys like Justin Allgaier, Ricky Stenhouse, even Reed Sorensen. And the thing that really hits home with me is you got a veteran guy like Kenny Wallace. He has 506 starts in this nationwide/Old Busch series. He's in the mix. We're talking about him every week because he has a chance. He doesn't have to beat 20 different cup drivers and cup cars every weekend. So I think they've made it fun again.
Other change they made was going to that 1 point per position scoring system, contributing to making this championship lead harder to hold on to.
It is absolutely great because every lap, whoever's in the lead of the championship hunt, it changes simply because of those small numbers. It changes all the time. We have no idea until the checkered flag falls who's going to be the points leader when we leave this racetrack, and I think that is awesome.
Man, I'm telling you, them small numbers, I don't know about all that. I'm used to the big numbers, 180 points a win, stuff like that. Now it's always 1, 2, 3, 4.
You used to get them big numbers on them checks in your victory lane.
That keeps me totally screwed up.
All right, well, championship is close. We'll see how today's race impacts and whether the leader can hold on to the point lead at the end of the day. Up next, the man many of today's young drivers said was their hero or idol growing up, Jeff Gordon. Jeff's a 3-time winner here at New Hampshire. How Gordon influenced these young drivers' careers and what Jeff has to say about it when he joins us live in the pit studio on NASCAR Countdown at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. NASCAR Countdown, presented by One Main Financial, live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where the NASCAR Nationwide Series races 200 laps this afternoon. Drivers gathering for introductions, and shortly they'll cross the stage and make their way toward their cars to get ready for this 200-lap event. Friday morning here at the track, I was emceeing a charity event. A couple of young drivers spoke there, Joey Logano and Trevor Bayne, and they both said the same thing. Their racing idol growing up was Jeff Gordon. These young drivers think of Jeff as a trailblazer. For many, he's now a mentor and an example of how to become a champion.
And the checkered flag waves over Jeff Gordon.
It's Gordon across in first. Jeff Gordon's won it.
That's one racer right there.
Jeff Gordon was one of my favorite race car drivers growing up. I had the Jeff Gordon shirts and all that. That was me. So it's really cool to be out there racing against him. He seemed like he was probably one of the first ones, if not the first one, to really make it at a young age.
Jeff's been an inspiration to me since I started racing, even when I was 10, 12 years old, you know, and he won a lot of races, he won a lot of championships, and he was always kind of my hero.
It's weird because I don't think of him as being old anymore. You know, he's not old, but older. I still think of him as that young Jeff Gordon when I was a little kid.
Jeff Gordon, come on out here. Winner of the Daytona 500, youngest driver to do it.
I was always the kid. I came in the Cup Series and I was young and doing well. And, you know, everybody always you made reference, you know, to how young I was.
Did you know who you beat, Jeff, in this business?
Well, you know, I mean, these are the best. This is everything I've ever worked for to get to this point.
Earnhardt, Waltrip, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott. The fact that I was able to go and race wheel to wheel with these guys who I had watched on TV was incredible.
You know, I think he definitely got that started for us. He was one of the first guys to do it, and he was successful.
It's getting close to the time where some other young, talented race car drivers get to do the same thing.
Am I dreaming right now?
Doing exactly what you would expect of Kyle Busch, winning.
I remember the first time we got out on the track with him, I was running really well, and I ended up passing him during practice, and I was like, man, that was pretty cool. I just passed my hero, you know, I'm faster than him right now.
You don't think about it at first, but eventually you think about it, man, you know, that's pretty cool. And you're lining up, you know, next to the guy before the race or on a restart, and you're like, yeah, these are the guys you watched on TV.
He's just has that legacy built behind him, you know, and so, you know, even though you race against the guy and you can beat the guy sometimes, you know, it's still Jeff Gordon.
And he gets right to the back bumper trying to rattle Kyle Busch. And the fans come to their feet. They lean on one another. Gordon moves Busch up the racetrack. He'll grab the top spot.
There was only one car here this weekend that could beat me. There it is.
To have talents like that and young kids, you know, growing up, idolizing, you know, me or looking up to something that I did makes me really proud of what I've been able to accomplish in the sport, and it's something that puts a big smile on my face and makes me feel really good about you know, my life and my career.
And the champ, Jeff Gordon, joins us now in the pit studio. Thanks for the time. Your reaction to that?
Wow, yeah, how do you react to that? That's humbling. You know, I mean, somebody dropped off a Open Wheel magazine today at my truck that showed me racing sprint cars at 14 years old. So I've been doing this a long time, and I've been so fortunate over the years to have great success. But to have, to me, I mean, you heard in my voice at Phoenix earlier this year, I was excited to beat Kyle Busch. And, you know, to hear those guys talk about what it's like to race against me, knowing that they watched what I did, you know, when they were kids. And that's very cool. You know, I love the Nationwide Series. I love what it's all about. I love the talent that it produces. I was once there. And so, you know, these are the guys that the young kids are going to be talking about one day. So that's very cool.
You were 21 years old when you made your then Winston Cup debut that day in Atlanta in 1992. Now when you hear these young kids say you were a trailblazer, looking back on it now, do you realize how different that was to have somebody that young coming to this level of racing?
Well, I think the difference between what I did at my age and maybe Kyle Busch or somebody like that is that it hadn't been done much prior to. I think maybe Ricky Rudd was a very young driver, but it took him a few years to really get up to that caliber of being a championship or contending for the championship and the wins. And where for me, I came in at Hendrick Motorsports, one of the best organizations out there, and we were able to have success right away. Now, I didn't win my rookie year. It was, not long after that, guys came in going like Tony Stewart, going to Joe Gibbs Racing, winning races their first year in. So, I think that what I look back on is that Rick Hendrick and the sponsors like DuPont at the time, they took a chance on a young guy that you just didn't see them put you had to earn your way up through the smaller ranks to get to that point. And when I came along, they said, let's take him and put him in, our car, one of the best teams out there.
So essentially what these guys are saying, as Jeff being a trailblazer for a young guy getting there, yes, he was. He was.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, as you look at your career and where you are now, obviously you're closing in on that 85th win. The next number is 105. David Pearson.
Man, every time I see you.
You can do it, man.
Oh, well,
you can do it.
I appreciate the confidence. I mean, I know it's possible, but a lot of things are going to have to line up, that's for sure. But we've got a great car for this weekend here at New Hampshire. We've got a shot at that 85th win. And this year, to me, has been a great year working with Alan Gustafson and this Drive In Hunger Chevrolet team. They're inspiring me to do things that maybe I didn't think I could do a couple years ago. And so I don't know about the 105, but we've got some left in us for sure.
We were talking earlier about the discussion about mentoring young drivers. Rusty was talking about when you came up to this level of racing, Bobby Allison was the guy you went to for advice, right?
Yeah, and the reason that was, he went to all the short tracks. He always went racing with us all the time. We didn't have to go to them, and he always was there for me. Anytime I asked a question, whether it's about life on the track, off the track, how to set my car up, Bobby was always there for us. And I'm sure you've done a lot with these guys too.
Well, and Rusty, you know how it works. If somebody is willing to come and ask a question, I'm going to give them an honest answer. And that's kind of what happened with Jimmy Johnson. He came to me and said, hey, I need some advice. And I think all the veterans are always very open to give that advice because it's a future of our sport. And when a young talent comes along, I think you respect it, you appreciate it, and you want to see them do good. Now, once they start beating you, then
that's it. Time to cut it off, right?
Well, that's interesting you say that. You talk about Jimmy Johnson, and you've been instrumental in his career. You going to do it again? Is there anyone else out there that you're looking at, maybe a young guy, or helping along, or doing what you do with Jimmy?
That's the only thing that I miss about not running in the Nationwide Series. When I was running, I was only running a handful of races back then, but I got a chance to race against Jimmy Johnson. Now, I'd seen him prior to that, and I was impressed. But racing against him impressed me to another level where I thought, you put this guy in my equipment, he's going to do well. And it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty good.
So, I definitely, I'm always keeping my eye open. But I think that there's an advantage of getting out there and racing wheel to wheel with them to see what they're doing and what kind of equipment they're in and how far they're pushing that equipment. Sometimes the equipment makes you look good, and sometimes you make the equipment look good.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see. We mentioned Bobby Allison, so that leads me to your attempt to get that 85th win in the NASCAR
So I can
Cup
tie
Series.
Bobby Allison?
So, yeah, according to Bobby, according to the record books, you'll move past into
I'm
third
a big
all-time.
Bobby Allison fan, so that's fine.
Already won a couple times this season. Got the win at Phoenix we saw back in February. Got this one we're about to see at Pocono about a month ago. 85 looming ahead.
That's unreal. It seems like just yesterday we were getting started at all this and getting our first win. Pocono is a great victory for us. I think it just shows how far along we've come as a team this year. Earlier in the year we didn't have a chance on the bigger tracks, and we've made some huge strides. Now this type of track, I think, is one that we can excel at, and we really did a lot of great testing over the off season. We went to Phoenix and we're strong there. We qualified well here, which I think is a big boost for us because we haven't been qualifying as good as we need to. At Pocono we qualified third and we were up front all day long. we're 7th here, I think, and the car feels really good. So I think we've got a great shot at it this weekend.
Get you to hang with us for just a couple of more minutes.
Absolutely.
Got one of those guys who called you an idol coming up in the next segment. We want to talk about that. Jeff Gordon with us on NASCAR Countdown from New Hampshire as we get set to go. When we wrap up here, maybe we'll be talking about Jeff winning a cup race Monday on our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable. Carl Edwards is going to be one of our panelists. That's 5 Eastern ESPN2. NASCAR Nationwide Series racing in Nashville next Saturday night, 7 Eastern ESPN. Then it's drag racing next weekend as well. The Mopar Mile High Nationals from Denver qualifying Saturday, finals Sunday. Both of those on ESPN2. And next weekend, check out the American Le Mans Series Grand Prix of Mosport. That's Sunday, July 24th, 10 Eastern ESPN2. Back to New Hampshire in a minute. NASCAR Countdown presented by One Main Financial, live from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where 200 laps and 211.6 miles of Nationwide Series racing begins in just a little while. In 24 years of Nationwide Series racing here, no driver had ever won more than once until last year. After winning the 2009 race, Kyle Busch overcame some early race finger banging and some others mid-race strategy to get back to the front and make it back-to-back New Hampshire wins. So it's now 23 faces in victory lane in 24 races. Kyle goes for the three-peat today from the 5th starting spot, Doc.
Alan, it's just remarkable that at age 26, Kyle Busch finds himself one win away from tying Mark Martin as the all-time winningest driver in series history. And by the way, that would be your 100th combined win and put you alongside names like Richard Petty and David Pearson. Give us your perspective. What would it mean to you to have your name listed alongside those legends?
Well, I mean, to me, it's just it's a personal goal. It's something to go after, something for me to kind of put out there and shoot for over time. Not necessarily is it relative to what those guys were able to accomplish in their careers. It's something for Kyle Busch, not for anybody else. So, to me, it's fun to have the opportunity to race as often as I do and to be in great equipment like I am at Joe Gibbs Racing and with Kyle Busch Motorsports and everybody that works with me, and we do it all together.
Kyle, we just saw that growing up, your racing hero was Jeff Gordon, who won his first championship and cup title at age 24. What role did his success at an early age play in having you believe you could get here so quickly?
Well, it was a huge deal because when I first started paying attention to NASCAR for real, Jeff was kind of the young guy that just came on the scenes, and it was someone I can kind of relate to. I mean, I was maybe 7 at the time, but still a younger guy like that, and racing against the veterans of the sport like the Mark Martins, the Rusty Wallaces, the Dale Earnhardt seniors, and so to me, he was able to win right out of the gate, win often, and be able to be as successful as he was with championships and stuff. It was something for me to really look at and shoot for, and kind of give me something to have the opportunity to go race for through Legends cars, through modifieds and late models, just trying to become better, trying to win all the time like he was, because I knew obviously if you're a winner, you're going to be seen, and when you're seen, you can move up to the next step. So, it was a huge deal for me.
Hey, good luck today.
You got it. Thank you.
How about that, Alan? Jeff Gordon inspired this young man, and now he has to beat him each and every week in a cup car.
Yeah, Doc, and we're talking about that with Jeff and talking about the broader topic of 100 wins in NASCAR's top 3 national series. Some people don't like the comparison because Richard Petty couldn't run the Truck Series. It didn't exist until 1995 and so on. Start with you. Thoughts on 100 wins?
Well, first of all, he's an incredibly talented race car driver, and I think what people love about what Kyle does is his passion for racing, and that he will get in any type of race car. He'll do it during the week. He'll go get in a late model stock somewhere, and he will have a shot to win. I raced with him at Eldora a couple years ago in the dirt late model, and he's right up against the wall and hadn't been in those cars much. He's an incredibly talented race car driver. When it comes to the numbers, I don't agree. I know Kyle Petty has weighed in on this as well. I don't agree with them, combining them all, but it doesn't take away, should never take away from what he's accomplished. It's amazing what he's been able to do.
I tell you, the thing that keeps blowing me away is just that this youth movement we've been talking about the younger guys, and that's awesome. But, Brad, I started this thing when I was 27 years old.
Wow.
My very first race in NASCAR when I was 27. This guy's 26 years old right now. And, guys, we're talking about him winning 100 races.
Yeah.
It blows me away.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And what he has accomplished stands on its own. And I think Jeff is right. Whenever you start in any sport, baseball, basketball, football, you start comparing eras and numbers, you get yourself in trouble. what he has accomplished in the Cup Series. He's won 22 races.
Yep.
That doesn't compare to what Richard Petty did in winning 200 races. Everybody knows that. That's obvious. But what he has done on his own right through the 3 National Touring Series, as far as winning almost 100 races, and he will, is absolutely remarkable and incredible.
Yeah.
And it needs to be left alone and stand on its own instead of trying to compare, because they're not comparable, and it's unfair to him to do that. And it's like, who's the next Michael Jordan? Well, there is a next. There's not a next Michael Jordan.
But he has his own place in history.
That's right.
And
That's right.
it's a standalone, in my opinion, that it will give that 7-year-old kid out there right now racing something to shoot for as well.
Yeah.
Very nice. And, of course, the number 49, important today, too. If Kyle wins today, he ties Mark Martin for all-time nationwide series
So Jeff's
wins.
responsible for Kyle Busch kicking everybody's butt. That's
and
how
Kyle's
that goes.
responsible for the next guy that's going to come along.
Why are you always helping everybody, man? All right. Got 2 things got to happen here. Go to send Rusty out to go to the booth to call the race. Go to thank you for the time to come in and talk about it. We appreciate it. Best of luck tomorrow and as you chase this championship.
Thank you very much.
105, baby. Come on, baby. You can do it.
I'm with you. I love it.
All right, next thing I'm going to do is send it down to the grid. And Vince, who you got, Vince?
Standing by with Carl Edwards. In the last 7 races, he's been one of those guys that's been very tough to beat. Couple of wins, 3 second-place finishes, more than 400 laps led. What's clicked for this team the last couple of months?
Well, Mike Beam and all the guys have been working really hard to build good race cars, and Doug Yates has given us great power. And there'd be no better race to run well for us than here, right in Fenway Sports Group's backyard. We got Fastenal, Lennox on board. Lennox is a Northeastern company, so we're proud to have them on. But this track's tough. It's really tricky, and we weren't that fast in practice, and I didn't do a very good job qualifying it. So we've got some work to do, but it looks like we got a great crowd and good weather, and it's going to be a fun race.
Might have work to do, but the 60 doesn't stay anywhere but the front for very long. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. Carl chasing the win along with the other drivers in the field as we go racing today at New Hampshire.
NASCAR Nationwide Series Countdown, presented by One Main Financial. Your needs, your goals, your dreams.
Hey, I'm Trevor Bain.
And I'm Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
And we're here at Fenway Park to do one of the coolest Ricky versus Trevor competitions yet.
This is only the greatest ballpark in America.
It is. So I think we can come up with some cool competitions for you guys. We're on top of the Green Monster, and we're getting ready to have a Frisbee competition, trying to hit home plate. And it's real windy out here, so you ready? Come on, first.
Too far left.
Foul ball, man. You're in the net.
I think that's because I've been working out, Trevor.
No, that one's curving right, too. Dang it.
Here goes our last throw, Trevor. Mine go a lot further than yours.
Stenhouse, you're looking rough right now, okay?
Dude, that looked like it was going to be so much closer.
It was straight at it, and then it caught it and went that way. So
I think my technique was better. Your result was better. All right, Trevor, you got lucky on the Frisbee toss from atop the Green Monster. Now we're down here on my turf. Have you ever done a dizzy bat race?
What's that?
We're going to spin around the bat 10 times. You run 90 feet to that cone.
Just dance.
Whoever gets down there first wins.
Let's do it, man. Oh! He's running sideways. Safe!
Hey, Trevor, I'm out in the bullpen. Where are you at?
Oh, man, I'm in the bullpen, too.
Oh, sweet.
Dude, all right, now we're good. So we're all tied up here. We got one thing left. You gonna see how fast we can pitch these things or what?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, you ready for this?
70, Stenhouse.
58.
I'm a 58 solid pitcher all day, man. Got that down. You want me to play some Little League?
You got your off-speed pitch, don't you?
That was good. That was solid.
All right, last one. Here we go. Oh, you broke 60.
We broke 60, but we're still 10 off. 2-1. I guess he got
2-1. The thing is we had a lot of fun here at Fenway Park. Can't get much better than that.
Trying to throw a Frisbee from the Green Monster to home plate at Fenway. These two guys have a lot of fun. There is the car that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will drive today, celebrating the 100th birthday of Fenway Park next April.
Well, that's outstanding.
And Trevor Bain going to start 7th in today's race. Been a busy week for him. Out to L.A. for the ESPYs, back to Boston for that, and then up here to a race here in New Hampshire. Joey Logano is in the field as well, New England native from Middletown, Connecticut. Imagine how it felt June 28, 2009. when Logano scored his first Sprint Cup Series win here at his home track.
Talented young man. We expect a lot more Sprint Cup wins out of him, as well as him being very competitive today.
Timely call by crew chief Greg Zipadelli, helping Joey for the win. He starts third in this one today, Vince.
Certainly some great memories here at New Hampshire for Joey Logano. What's it like being a New Englander and having an opportunity to race here?
It's awesome. You know, this is where I watched my first Cup race here when I was 7 years old. I sat somewhere over there, so it's cool to be out here racing, in front of a hometown feeling, with growing up about 3 hours from here. So I got a really good GameStop Toyota. Got a cool looking one with Captain America on it. The car looks awesome. So hopefully we can bring home the win here. We've run good here in the past. I've led a lot of laps here. I think it was this race a year ago, and I didn't win it. So hopefully we can seal the deal this time and get a victory for GameStop.
Strong again this weekend, Alan. He starts third.
Certainly one to keep an eye on as we go through these 200 laps today is Joey Logano.
That's right.
Let's talk track position and pit strategy, because that's going to be something to keep an eye on today as well. It's always a factor in these New Hampshire races, illustrated by what happened in this event 1 year ago. Track position played out just shy of halfway. Brad Keselowski stays on the racetrack in the 22 car. See how far back in line he was.
Yes, he's back there toting around, just putting around, trying to maintain track position.
Gets himself some track position. While on the pit stop, Joey Logano's team went for just right side tires. And Kyle Busch's team went for 4 tires.
But it's Kyle Busch.
How much of this are we going to see today?
I think it's a no-brainer, Alan. You get to the end of this race, it has to be a 2-tire stop, or you have to do whatever you can to maintain track position. It is so hard to pass because these cars are so competitive, you can't give up track position.
There have not been a lot of cautions and not been a lot of caution laps in the second half of these races the last few years. So these crew chiefs that might be betting on trying to stay out there and stretch the mileage a little bit, they better hope their drivers got that light touch on the gas pedal.
Earning it again today. They got to earn every dime.
Every bit. So at New England's largest sports stadium, they're going to pass out a trophy after 200 laps. We're getting ready to go for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, located just outside the capital city of Concord. From the restaurants and shops of the city, a short hop to the White Mountains or the Lakes region. Lake Winnipesaukee, one of the beautiful lakes, dotted with 253 islands. One of the many spots like Newfound Lake or Winnisquam. Great summer playground for the residents and race fans who come to the Granite State. Those fans enjoying a beautiful New England summer weather summer afternoon as they get ready to watch drivers race here at the Magic Mile. Couple of quick notes. Mike Bliss and the 19 team. Thursday, when they were unloading their car, the transporter liftgate broke, dropping the car to the ground. The car was repaired. Wow. Crewman James Rowland, a fabricator in their rear tire changer, suffered a broken bone in his foot and has some possible torn ligaments in his knee. We hope he gets well soon.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Mike Bliss has done a great job with that race car this year. And I talked to Brian Scott here right before the race. I gave him my old lucky soul shake because all he needs is a little bit of luck.
Time to go trackside for the opening ceremony. Oh, got another minute or so.
There you go.
Jason Leffler, starting 11th. Had some success here before and had a little uptick in his performance lately.
Looking for some good things out of Jason here. And did you say Concord? I thought that's Concord. Isn't that right outside of Charlotte?
That's North Carolina.
Oh,
this is Concord.
Oh, okay.
You got to learn how to. You got to learn the differences.
You guys got me all mixed up.
So Leffler looking to get a little closer to the lead in the championship today. He's 5th in points beginning the day.
Yeah.
These drivers and more. In search of victory.
Over near Concord.
Over near Concord.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right after the traditional opening ceremony here in Loudon. Let's go trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the White Mountain Regional High School Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Please continue to stand as Senior Pastor John White from the Church of the Nazarene, Loudon, New Hampshire, offers today's invocation.
Our Heavenly Father, as we bow our heads for just a moment at the beginning of this day, we give you thanks for the absolute magnificence of the beauty to be here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway this day. And Father, while we pray each time for your safety, for the drivers, the crew, and for those of us in the stands, we also ask your blessing upon the drivers, the crew, and those of us in the stands this day. And Father, while we think of that, we pray as well and ask a blessing upon, once again, a family that we heard this morning, who lost yet another serviceman's son. And we ask, Lord, that you would be near them this day. So, Father, until we hear the words in a few moments to get our engines started, I pray that we will have our engines started as we serve you. I ask this all in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
In honor of our troops, please place your right hand over your heart as co-winner of the New Hampshire Motor Speedway Star Contest and Rollingsford, New Hampshire's own Alexandra Whitworth performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it for Alexandra Whitworth for her performance of our national anthem.
Time to get buckled in. Casey Kane going to get ready to go momentarily. Eric Almirola about to climb aboard and start his number 88 machine in 4th position. Will Kyle Busch celebrate his 100th NASCAR National Series win? Is someone going to use pit strategy and steal track position to cart off that trophy instead? And how big's the lobster going to be? They give the winner to take pictures with in victory lane.
That's what I want to know.
You just want it for dinner. The engines fire in New Hampshire next.
NASCAR Nationwide Series in New Hampshire is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences. And Valspar. Connect to the power and color. Valspar.
As we get ready to go racing in New Hampshire today, we look back to the track's early days. October 13th, 1991, the track's second season. A young New Englander named Ricky Craven upset the series regulars to score the win in what was then the Busch Series. How about July 11th, 1993, this track's first ever NASCAR Sprint Cup race? Russell William Wallace started 33rd, but charged forward and led over a third of the laps to score the win. As we head upstairs to the broadcast booth for the call of the race, Marty Reed is with Rusty and Ricky. Did they bring the trophies, Marty?
No, and they didn't share any of the purse money with me either. I guarantee you that. Hello again, everybody. Glad that you're with us. Let's talk about a couple of things. First off, we talked about in Countdown, heard you guys mentioning track position. Take a look at our 4 top contenders in the championship hunt and where they are going to start this race. And Reed Sorensen, man, he's glad to be out of that 30 car. He's back in that 32, and he's going to start the best of that group.
Yeah, and he's glad to be back with the 32 team. He's got 14 starts with them, 12 top 10s. In the 30 car, 4 starts, 0 top 10s. How excited do you think he is to finish the year out with the 32 team?
I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, I'm looking at those bad qualifying runs in my eyes. Those aren't too bad, 14, 15, stuff like that. But one thing you got to remember that might help these guys today is that they got a new tire here. Goodyear's brought a really good tire here, folks. It's real sticky, got a lot of grip. And I think with some good pit stops, these guys can actually get themselves up to the front and not be so worried about that early track position. I think they can get up there.
Well, remember, 11 out of the last 12 races, the winners come from the top 10. We'll see what happens. Second topic. Heard you talk earlier this week, Ricky, and it was really interesting. You're comparing this 1 mile layout at Loudon to the half mile at Martinsville.
Yeah.
Explain.
And from a driver's perspective, that is the best comparison. Of course, it is twice as big. And the corner entry speed's roughly 160 miles an hour here, whereas it's 120 at Martinsville. Now, here's where it gets difficult. Martinsville has 12 degrees of banking. You would think a bigger track would have more banking, but it doesn't. New Hampshire only has between 2 and 7 degrees. Rusty, You alluded to it on Countdown. This is a difficult track. I think one of the most difficult tracks on the schedule.
I totally agree with you. And we talked earlier in Countdown about it's not a tough track to drive. It's very, very difficult to understand and maneuver around. And one of the main reasons is because the air pressure. They only run like 8 pounds of air in these left side tires, Ricky. Very, very low sometimes, like at Martinsville. Here a little bit higher, but still a lot of moving around. A lot to be concerned about. A good comparison, though, between Martinsville and here, though.
Well, it's about to all unfold. Everybody's getting ready. Let's go down trackside to get the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome Chief Information Officer for Connecticut Riverbank, Louise Doobie.
Drivers, start your engines!
Are you fired up?
Just for the record, Carl, I try to relax when you calm down. Start focusing final.
Engines come to life on the 42 cars in the field here, getting ready to head out on the first of the pace laps at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and a beautiful day. And there is Elliott Sadler, the points leader. He's going to be starting 15th today, but he's also going to be our in-race reporter. And we'll talk to him when we come back to New Hampshire. Oh, the beautiful New England countryside, and it has been a picture-perfect weekend so far for all of us that have been up here. No humidity, and you can see just how crystal clear it is. Across the top of the screen will be the starting lineup, 42 cars, and obviously no one going home as we're one short of the full field, and no one going to the rear. So with that all in mind, let's turn our attention now to our in-race reporter, the driver of the number 2, Elliott Sadler.
Elliott Sadler, Rusty Wallace, ESPN, you got us?
Yes, sir. I got you. How are you?
Hey, man, we're doing good up here. We got an ESPN mailbag question for you. It comes from Joseph in Whitestone, New York. And the question is, how much of your previous wins on flat tracks will help you at New Hampshire despite the difference between the cars now and then?
I tell you what, the biggest thing we could use is just the confidence that we have on flat tracks, the confidence we have in this car. This car's been fast everywhere we've taken it. So hopefully we'll have a good day today. Be there at the end, be consistent, have good pit stops like we've done all season long, and see how it plays out.
Hey, you know, you've talked about your fast cars just now, but the question I got, man, you usually qualified really good. You haven't qualified so good for this particular race. Hey, man, is that car okay for you today?
Yeah, that's a good question, Rusty. This is not how we typically qualify. I just got a little bit loose today in qualifying. You know how that is here at this track. It's a momentum track. I couldn't get off the corner and make these straightaways long enough. But I got a great race team behind me. This is why we race 200 laps. And we'll try to make our way up here to the front and see what happens. But we feel really confident about this car. It's been really fast at Richmond, really fast at Iowa. We think it'll be good here today.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking to us, and have a great race.
And let's check the other onboards. Obviously, we have one with Elliott Sadler, also with Casey Kane, Kyle Busch, Justin Allgaier, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Stephen Wallace, and Eric Almirola. Let's get the latest from pit road. Final updates. Dave Burns, you're up.
Marty, 2 weeks ago and winless, crew chief for Brad Keselowski, Todd Gordon, told me that they hadn't put the whole thing together all season long. Our driver had done his job, but I had left him one adjustment short of a perfect race car, or we hadn't put the whole race together. Well, they solved that at Kentucky, dominating the event. He said, we put the race together. Oh, and one byproduct of that, we gave our driver tremendous confidence. Remember that trash talking? He said that was a byproduct of a fast race car. Vince Welch.
With Fenway Park only about an hour away, this is a huge race for the Roush Fenway team. Trevor Bayne and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both carrying Red Sox-related paint schemes today. Carl Edwards is a former winner here at New Hampshire. But all three Roush Fenway cars have had less than what they've hoped for so far this weekend. So if there's to be a Roush Fenway celebration today in New Hampshire, fuel strategy and two-tire stops may end up being the key, Jerry Punch.
You know, Vince, in over 8 years as a NASCAR Nationwide Series driver, Kyle Busch has broken over 40 major NASCAR records, but arguably none as important or impressive as the one he gets set today. A win today would tie him with Mark Martin as the all-time winningest driver in series history and be win number 100 combined across the 3 major touring series, putting his name alongside Richard Petty and David Pearson. And folks, that's impressive given the fact that Kyle is just 26 years of age. Marty Reed.
Our over-the-wall reporter today, Mark Hollywood Armstrong. He's the front tire changer from the 66. And you be safe down there, Hollywood, as we're getting ready to go green. 7 former winners in the field, including 20 years ago today, Kenny Wallace, Kyle Busch, Derek Koch, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Joe Nemechek, and his 400th career start for David Green. And we get ready to go. This race at New Hampshire is green. Saw back in the middle of the pack, 3 and 4 wide. Somebody looked like they brushed the wall coming out of 2. Looked like it might have been the 15 of Timmy Hill. Check on that.
I'll tell you one thing I noticed already, Marty, is that the start of this race is much more under control than it generally is. Goodyear's brought that new tire here. It's grippier. The tire drivers like it a lot. Generally, with the air pressures nice and low, they're slipping and sliding all over the place, Ricky. It's hard for these guys to get going, but not right now, it looks like.
Yeah, you're right. The disadvantage is for the cars on the inside. As the air pressure builds up, I think you're going to see Brad Keselowski and the other cars that have lined up on the inside get better and better.
These two have been side by side since the drop of the green flag. It looks like they're going to stay that way down the front straightaway again. Kevin Harvick will lead laps 1 and 2, and Eric Almirola close behind.
The reason it's a disadvantage to restart on low air pressure on the inside is because the car feels so spongy. You can't get a feel for it, Rusty. And the track becomes narrow on corner exit. You have to keep more steering input into the car on corner exit. These cars will go faster when you can release that wheel and let it drift all the way to the wall.
Well, it looks like Keselowski getting sideways right there, and that's a product of that lower air pressure you talked about, Ricky. A big problem with that. When I drove here, that was one of the things I always fought. They said, how's the car handle? I said, hey, man, give me about 10 laps. Let these tires heat up, Marty. Let the pressures come up, and then I'll let you know.
Well, and it allowed the 88 Eric Almirola to move into second place when he got loose. So he's dropped back to third, right behind Brad. A battle for fourth. There's a 32 there. You can see the Dollar General car. Reed Sorensen side by side with the 18 of Kyle Busch.
It's critical that you make quick, swift passes here. The longer you run underneath another car, the more punishing it is for the right front, right rear tire. Brad Keselowski alongside Eric Almirola here. He wants to drive in deep, and actually, if he can squeeze on up, maybe not quite that much.
And I tell you, that's one thing. You brought up a good point there, Ricky. That's what you got to watch. You got to be. The drivers are always tempted to fly down these long straightaways and bomb these babies down into the corner. And when they do that, sometimes the grip's not there. They slide up in it. And this is a perfect scenario that you don't want to be in right here, because Keselowski, he's trying to make that pass. He knows if he gets in too deep, he can take out Almirola.
And I really believe that he did surrender there. Gives up, much like you're probably going to see from Reed Sorensen here, if he can't make the pass, because you can do more damage and end your day before lap 10. Makes no sense.
Joey Logano putting a lot of pressure on the 32 of Reed Sorensen, and there is Justin Allgaier lurking right behind as we go on board with Allgaier. And Allgaier needs a big run, guys. He comes into this race 43 points behind. That's one full race.
And it's not a reflection on how they've run as we watch Brad Keselowski complete the pass on Eric Almirola. It's not a reflection on how Justin Allgaier's run. It's just that they've had some tough luck the last few weeks.
Boy, and there goes Brad getting loose again. Almirola going to try and maybe stick it back underneath him. No, he'll fall in behind.
Marty, I talked to some of the drivers this morning. They were telling me, said, I really like this tire. And I said, well, besides the grip, what do you like so much about it? He said, almost every track we go to, the RPMs, the max RPMs are around 82, 8,300. They said, Rusty, with this tire, we're going through the corner so much faster. We're up to about 8,800 RPMs right now. In fact, a lot of them are up into the rev limiter chip. And then, Ricky, you won't know as well as I do, when you got more power and more RPM, a little bit easier to pass up off the corners.
Oh, it's critical because you have to gain your position on corner exit. You're not going to have a long day or a successful day if you charge the corner and try to make that pass on corner entry. You're going to tear up your car.
Casey Kane in the 7 in the GoDaddy car, and he's going to pick up a spot as he gets around the 09 of Kenny Wallace.
I'll tell you, it's tough looking at Casey Kane in that car, Marty. I'm so used to seeing Danica Patrick in that, or Josh Weiss, or somebody like that. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s put a lot of drivers in that car. But Casey Kane's a doggone good one. We all know that. He's run good here before. It's a good choice.
It is a good choice. Tony Uribe Jr. told me yesterday that we need an evaluation. As you watch Kenny Wallace get along beside him here, we need an evaluation on our team. We need to know how good our cars are, how good our engines are. Casey Kane can do that for us.
And that battle for 13th continues, and that's Joe Nemechek in the 87 trying to lurk in there as well. We can tell you that Scott Wimmer has taken it behind the wall. Andrews and Eflin also. 3 cars behind the wall. Our race leader is Kevin Harvick by 2 seconds. Back here at the New England 200, let's check our Goodyear track facts because 2 things that stand out. We had a modified race there on a different tire compound.
Yeah, different tire compound, but right now I believe they've had enough time to kind of push that old different tire rubber off the track and get the new stuff laid down, and the new stuff is what's on the cars right now. Maybe another 5 laps, we'll be back normalized, I call it.
And the other is pit stops.
Yeah, it's only a 200-lap race, and the drivers have to be very specific as to what they want for changes. It's not going to be a lot of stops for each of these teams. They better get it right when they hit pit road.
Take a look at the stripe on the right side of the 11 of Brian Scott. Let's take you back and show you exactly what happened during the break. As Brian, again, looking for that top 5 finish, and here he goes.
Yeah, just gets off a turn 2 there, Ricky, and just brushes the wall. Let's take one more look at this and see what happened, if it's got much damage or not. Oh, it's a pretty good hit.
I'll tell you something that happened there is he was following Jason Leffler off the corner. You see how close Jason Leffler got to the wall? When you're following a car that closely, you reference that car in front of you as to how far you can drift. Obviously, Leffler got too close, and Scott got closer.
Well, how many times have you been following the car? He got loose, and you got loose, too.
Everything looks good up there.
Or you follow him into the wall.
That's right.
All right, let's update you on a couple of things. Johnny Chapman's taken his car behind the wall. So has Chase Miller, along with Eflin, Andrews, and Wimmer. And Dennis Setzer has just pulled into pit road as well. Side-by-side action there as you see the 20 of Joey Logano picking up the spot and taking over 4th from Eric Almirola. Up front, it is Kevin Harvick by 1.2 seconds. When we left, his lead was 2.5 seconds.
What's required to pass a car here is completely different than what's required to be fast. To be fast, you have to use all the racetrack, diamond the racetrack, just do everything you can inside the race car with your hands and your feet. But to make a pass, as we watch Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski battle here.
That is 4th on the racetrack as they are getting ready to go around Carl Long in the 41. He's a lap down. Let's get an update from pit road. Doc?
Marty, 2 years ago, Kyle Busch came here, and during the pre-race, he told the guys, he said, we're about a 7th place car. Well, he won the race. Last year, he came here during the pre-race. He told his crew chief, we're about a 5th place car. Well, they won the race. Now, a few minutes ago, before climbing in the car, Kyle Busch told me today, he said, I'm a 3rd place car. So look out, folks. In fact, for the last 5 laps, he has been 2/10 quicker than the leader. Dave.
Doc, the 3rd place car right now is Brad Keselowski. Why is that? He started on the pole, had the fast car in qualifying. Well, a couple of reasons. The 33 of Kevin Harvick was set around the garage to be the very best car. Keselowski may be 2nd. The other thing is right now, his car is loose. That back end wants to come around on him on this flat mile track. Vince?
Well, and Kevin Harvick certainly has shown his power here early on. Said the car was a little free at the start, but it's getting better. Certainly we have talked about the frustration that Harvick showed on the radio last week with his crew chief, David Hyder at Kentucky. Should they pit in the closing laps or should they not? They ended up having enough fuel to finish the race, but Hyder said today it was 100% his fault. He and Kevin talked about it this week in the competition meeting. There's no doubt about it. At the end of the day, they're both trying to win. That's the main goal, and they both want it. They're both extremely competitive. Hyder said, Kevin's the owner. He wants the best for our team, and I have no doubt about it. He'll try to get him to victory lane today.
Well, Kevin Harvick has dominated in laps led here at New Hampshire. He has just passed 600 laps led. That's more than twice as many laps by any other driver. Check in on the battle for 6th right now. Reed Sorensen looks like he's going to get passed by Carl Edwards.
Watch out, it's a good clean pass right there Carl Edwards had too. He sailed it right in there pretty deep past Reed Sorensen. Made the thing stick, and now he's got a little more clean there. See him put his hand out the window, thanking the lap car for giving him a little break right there. That's pretty courteous. It's a nice thing to do because you'll probably be lapping that guy again. You need another break.
Remember that.
Battle for 9th place going on between 8s as the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse underneath the 16 of Trevor Bayne. Trevor pulls ahead.
They've been battling all week. They battled at Fenway Park. Picked up where they left off here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Of course, the 6 car celebrating Boston Red Sox and 100 years of Fenway Park. Let's get an update. Dave Burns.
Well, and Trevor's car has not been going the direction he wants it to. The reason for that is it won't turn in the center of the corner this early on here. And just one mention, you guys talked about that different rubber on the racetrack. Now they're getting to the point in the race where maybe they're getting control over their race cars, and they're starting to see what is possible for the upcoming end of the event.
All right, thanks, Dave. Let's update you on a couple of things. First off, you're wondering what happened to Elliott Sadler, the points leader. He has dropped back to 17th position while all this is going on. You saw, there he is on board there. You saw Justin Allgaier as he's in that battle with Trevor Bayne. He's currently running in 8th position. And, of course, Reed Sorensen currently running 7th. And they're all chasing that man right there, Kevin Harvick. His lead is down to 0.6 of a second. Kyle Busch is coming. Here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you're looking out the back bumper of race leader Kevin Harvick, and he's got a mirror full of the 18 of Kyle Busch, looking for his record-tying 49th nationwide win. He had a run during the commercial break. 51 of Jeremy Clements sort of got in the way, and here he comes back at him again.
Well, I'll tell him, I'm amazed how fast Kyle Busch has got from where he started up to Kevin Harvick's bumper right now. There's times where he's about 2 or 3/10 of a second faster, but what I notice now, once he's got there, Ricky, the speed that he had over Harvick is diminished, and it's pretty well evened out now.
Yeah, that's right. It gives me an opportunity to finish my point earlier in the race where I said, you know, it's two things. When you're out front, you use all the racetrack, you can go fast with your feet and your hands. But when you're in traffic and you're trying to make a pass, you need this car to rotate. You need the car to drive off the right rear, but not chatter, not get loose. If he doesn't have that, he'll be fighting for a long time trying to make this pass. And I don't think the outside's going to work, but he's going to give it a look.
Well, it's going to take a while to burn that top groove in to kind of get that rubber up there. It needs to be there so he can use that top groove later on. We're only 31 laps in the race right now. Oh, take a look at Ricky
There goes
Stenhouse
going around. Trevor avoids him. The 7 of Kane avoids him.
I don't know why you did that. Yellow's out.
And the yellow is out for the first time today here on lap number 33.
That's really interesting here, guys. This is lap 33. That was the sweet spot on the tires, and you see that mark in front, right behind the right front of the Ricky Stenhouse car. This is the sweet spot on the tires, Rusty. 33 laps is where the car is probably at its best, so they got to give some good information here.
Stenhouse did manage to stay on the lead lap. Let's take you back, show you what happened.
See Stenhouse right behind Justin Allgaier here. Kind of tries to make a last dive to pass him. Gets in the bottom, slides up, and just spins that baby. Gets against his left rear tire. Justin Allgaier loses it, but he knew he was in too deep. He knew he was in a little trouble at that point right now. Let's take a look at this again. Gets below the yellow line, slides up, gets an Allgaier, knocks Allgaier around a little bit. Well, but good job out of Stenhouse holding on that thing.
Rusty, it's what we talked about earlier. You can't take position on corner entry. You got to get that position on corner exit and then finish it on corner entry. He tried to get it. He tried to get the position getting into the corner.
Stenhouse was 9th at the time of this spin. Remember, last week he was 6th on lap 43. Ended up coming back to finish 9th. Here's Casey Kane's view.
Yeah, you take a look at that. We talked about this in Countdown.
Go low. High. Either way, come on. All clear, good job.
The logo high either way. Take your pick.
This is something you're going to look at all day long, guys. These guys running so fast down these long straightaways and being tempted to make a pass like Stenhouse did. Let's pit stops to see what happens.
Yeah, quickly. 2 tires or 4?
2 tires.
Okay, we'll find out how everybody's going to play this.
Not these guys. 4 tires for the leaders. I think about 9th on back. They'll 2 tire to get the track position.
I think the leaders take 2 tires here also. It's only 30 laps.
Let's send it to Doc.
Well, guys, Kyle Busch will take 4 tires. He wants the car more secure entering and exiting. They will go down one round with the track bar, half a pound of air out of the left rear. Vince.
Kevin Harvick, center of your screen, tighten the center, loose off. Wants it to turn better without losing the rear grip. They're going to put on 4 scuffs.
Dave, 4th place, Logano gets a chassis adjustment, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for the car that he has to wait too long in the center to get on the gas. Brad Keselowski back to 3rd. No changes on the car because it tightened up at the end of the run, which was what you wanted to do when it starts out loose.
Carl Edwards picks up positions, 5 of them to be exact. Trevor Bayne, 7, and those are two tires. So exactly what you were talking about, Rusty. The guys further back, taking 2 to get that track position. There is the points leader coming in, Elliott Sadler. We'll update you, reset it when we come back. You're looking at our new race leader. Kevin Harvick led all 34 laps. Carl Edwards the last 2 under caution. Our lucky dog goes to the 51 of Jeremy Clements. 26 cars on the lead lap. There are the 3 waiver rounds. Pace car is pulling off. Behind Edwards, it's Bain, Harvick, Keselowski, Logano, and Busch. That's your top 6. And the front runner, Edwards, has taken the inside. And we're back to green flag racing here at New Hampshire.
I'm really eager to see how these 2 tires for Edwards hold up against Keselowski and Harvick with 4 tires.
Remember, Trevor Bain also on 2-tire change as well. Here comes Harvick with the 4 fresh ones on the inside.
It's going to be 3 wide. That won't work.
Something's got to give.
And you know, I wouldn't be paying a lot of attention to 2 versus 4 right now, Ricky, because we know that this pressures have got to come up a little bit. Right. We know they got to get the heat back on the tires. And I can tell you, all the crew chiefs on pit road are taking a look at Trevor Bain. They're taking a look at Carl Edwards on those 2 tires, so they know, should I try that myself later in the race? Yeah, does it work? Will it work?
And the longer that Trevor Bain hangs on, the better his car should get. To your point, Rusty, the right sides have to build pressure to match up to the left sides. Because remember, the left side's got 33 laps on them.
Yeah, one thing you got to remember, too, this track is so flat, Ricky, that the cars are trying to body roll a lot. You're really working the right side tires real hard because the track is so flat. The left side tires, not so much. So I agree with the 2 tires at the moment.
Well, and Dr. Jerry Punch told us during the commercial break that the guys that took 4 tires, they're thinking 1 more pit stop. We can then go with a 2-tire change if it works, and that puts them in better track position late.
It is. Track position is so critical. They're going to count this thing backward like a road course. When they get inside their fuel window, they're going to hit pit road, and they're not coming back.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's got to be a point where you say, okay, we're going to stay out now because we need the track position. I'm guessing, you know, these cars run about 75 to 80 laps on fuel. I mean, anytime after that, maybe 70 laps, if I'm on the track with enough fuel to make it, I might just stay out there.
Okay, here's the dichotomy, though, as you look at this. Trevor Bain took 2 tires. He's still managing to stay out in front. Carl Edwards took 2. He's dropped back to 5th. How do you explain that?
Yeah, but what happened was we saw Carl Edwards get down to turn 1 and 2 and get all boggled up back in there, Rick. He kind of got locked up. And Trevor Bain was on the outside and got gone. So I think that just a track position, if you put Carl Edwards back up where Trevor Bain is right now, I think he can maintain that position. He should have had an initial 2 laps. He got himself in trouble.
Yeah, it's all about balance. You know, if Trevor Bain's car was loose and they took 2 tires, that typically tightens you up. It may have been just what was already tight, and they took 2 tires. It might have made it tighter.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
There you see the 18 of Kyle Busch getting underneath and going around Carl Edwards, so bump Carl back to 6th. There comes Eric Almirola behind him. There's Reed Sorensen in that bright yellow 32 going through the screen, so he is in 9th position right now. And Elliott Sadler running in 12th, which means as it stands at the moment, Sadler leads the points by 1.
Here we go.
Every lap, it can change. And there's Elliott taking a peek on the inside of Allgaier. And we've already talked about how important a day Allgaier must have. He's 43 points behind coming in. That's the view out the back of Allgaier.
You got to be careful. You're the point leader, and you're 12th. And you say, boy, this car's just not operating the way I want it to or I need it to, but you can't allow yourself to have too much urgency. You tear up the right front fender and you compound the problem, and you contribute to a bad day. If you relax, you're patient, let your crew chief help, as we watch Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick here battling for 2nd place, then you can manage the day, and at the end, if you have track position, you're battling for the win. Kevin Harvick looks comfortable to me. Now, I don't know if he's sizing up Brad Keselowski, but he doesn't look out of control running 3rd.
Well, I know talking to Brad during qualifying today, coming off last week, his confidence factor is very high. And he said, you know, we knew we were going to get a win. It was just we had to wait for all the pieces to fall into place. He says, every time we had a DNF, it was some problem, and we finally got all those bugs out. And here we go side by side with the Turner Motorsports teammates going after each other. That's the 38 of Leffler, the view from the bumper of Allgaier.
Anyway, equally prepared cars right here. Come out of the same shop. They should be running close to the same speed. Talk about speed. Take a look at Elliott Sadler. Now, Sadler's made a pit stop, made some adjustments, and it looks like he's back on a charge right now. David, what's going on with the 2 car?
Rusty, they better hope so, because the race didn't start well for him. He picked up a couple spots, then got shuffled back. If you talk to Ernie and Elliott this weekend, they weren't real confident about this race car. Ernie right there on the right said, we've been loose, we've been tight, but we've never been right. Elliott said the car got tighter and tighter in final practice. Today so far, chattering the right rear on that first run, and he said I was so sideways on exit, they made a big adjustment. They're hoping it's coming around.
Well, chattering the right rear tire, you're always loose when that happens, when you're slipping and sliding. Got to kind of tighten that car up and get it so he's got some better forward bite. And at this track, that is absolutely the key.
Well, Elliott Sadler right now, his best finish this year was third back at Darlington. And he's still looking for win number 1 this season.
Where winners are celebrated, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Home of the biggest events in motorsports, ESPN and ABC.
And today, ESPN is at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway with our continuing coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. The first quarter of this event is done. One of the championship contenders, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., bringing out the only caution with that spin at lap 33 in turn number 4. Fortunately, no one hit him, and he has been able to continue away in 15th position. His teammate, Trevor Bayne, is out in front of this race in that number 16 car. Down from the pit studio, Bestwick and Brad. Pit strategy got Bayne to the race lead.
Yeah.
Got Carl Edwards to the front row for the restart as well.
Yep.
One has fared a lot better than the other since the restart.
Absolutely. We've heard Rusty and Ricky talking about inside of this racetrack, you've got to let your race tires come up, get the air pressures up, especially on the bottom. Trevor Bayne started on the outside. Carl started on the inside, both with 2 tires. Trevor's going forward simply because he hadn't been stressing those tires on the inside. Carl started inside. He's gone backwards and has not been able to make up that track position. Great point by those guys.
So, Vince, all the work the team did to gain track position with the strategy on the pit stop, they're right back to where they were.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, Carl Edwards just asked his spotter what Trevor Bayne is doing that he is not. And the response was that he's running the center better than you and running it a bit higher as Carl searches for the fast lane. You mentioned those spots that he gained on that 2-tire pit stop, but just as he was coming in for that stop, he was also voicing concern about his steering box.
I'm telling you guys, we've got.
Let's check in with Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage about exactly what Carl Edwards is dealing with.
Might be one of those issues. Everybody uses a power steering reservoir. Some guys use a remote back here in this area, and some guys use them up here right next to the pump. The issue you have with them is right in this area right here. If the fluid level gets below this area or the fluid starts to foam, that's the reason we have the baffle in here to put it back in a solid texture before it gets run back through the pump again. But anytime you have an excessive RPM, like Rusty said, 8,800 RPMs, that steering has a tendency to aerate. It might have a tendency for the steering to go away. Marty?
And Tim, the 60 is in for an unscheduled stop.
Vince? Everything. Can't steer there, sorry.
You can see that the hood is up, and that's never a good issue for the any team. And Carl Edwards just not exactly sure what the problem is, but they just told him to turn it off. We'll get a word with crew chief Mike Beam and let you know what he thinks it might be.
Well, he did not sound confident about this race car when I talked to him before qualifying.
Back here, let's pull the valve cover off of it. Get back here.
Sounds like I got an engine problem with the car. We had a
power center, you guys, too.
Power steering problem earlier. Couldn't steer the car good. Now they've lost part of the engine, evidently. They're talking about pulling the valve cover off. Let's try to find out what the problem is in this engine.
On the wall.
Really no reason for Marty to go back out because he's not going for points.
Well, Roush Fenway Racing has only one Nationwide Series win here at New Hampshire, and Carl is not going to pick up a win here today for the team. His worst finish in 6 starts, 6th back in 2009. He completed every lap race here in the last 6 races. Now, if you are Trevor Bayne out in front, are you worried about your car?
If you're Trevor Bayne, you're not worried because you're not even aware of it right now. But if you're Trevor Bayne's crew chief, you're probably thinking about it. You see Keselowski get a little loose getting off the turn 4. And Kevin Harvick there to pounce if he has the opportunity. But you take the valve cover off only because you've got a valve issue. So they dropped the cylinder, and I think it's going to resonate throughout Roush Fenway Racing, particularly Jack Roush, because you always got to wonder, is it something that we change this week in the engine?
That's the battle for second on your screen. Bain's lead over Keselowski is 1.2 seconds. Harvick in the 33, as we're on board with him, 1.4 seconds behind the race lead. Vince, let's get an update on that 60. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I spoke with Mike Beam, the crew chief, just as soon as he got off the box. He said it's something on the top end, they believe, in regards to the motor. Push the car over here. They've got the hood up, as you can see, and they're working on the car. And Carl Edwards asked if he should stay in the car or get out, and Mike Beam told him you might as well go ahead and get out. And that's not a good sign for Carl Edwards.
And there's Carl climbing out while the race continues to fly by.
You know, Marty, I misspoke just a little while ago. Why would you go back out? Well, Carl Edwards doesn't get any driver points for racing a nationwide series, but that car gets car owner points. So if they can fix it and get it back out there, that would help the car owner points.
And they're fourth in owner points right now, but slipping further back. Trevor Bain, two-tire change, put him out in front, and he has managed to stay there. He's built almost a full second over Brad Keselowski after 61 of 200. The Open Championship concludes on ESPN tomorrow. Today, if you saw any of it, high winds and literally horizontal rainfall. The final round of the Open Championship, ESPN at 6 a.m. Eastern, and it's Darren Clark with a one-stroke lead heading into that final round over Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, and Thomas Bjorn, 3 strokes back. Let's check in with Vince.
Well, you see Carl Edwards talking with crew chief Mike Beam. Never a good sign when you're out of car this early. Mike indicated maybe something on the top end. What are you hearing?
Well, we're not sure yet. Something broke. I think it's something in the top end valve or valve spring or something like that. Our Fastenal Mustang was running pretty well. We made a little mistake on that pit stop. We probably should have taken 4 tires, but I guess looking up there at the leaderboard, Trevor Bain's doing really well. So we'll get this thing put back together so we can make some laps, but right now we'll just cheer for Trevor. It looks like he's doing really well, and that's good.
Is this something that Trevor and Ricky should be concerned about since it happened with your car?
I don't think so. We got great engines. Doug Yates built great engines. We had that one problem at Pocono with the Cup car, but it was a valve. It was an actual valve problem with the way it was made. So I don't think they have anything to worry about. These cars and these engines are usually bulletproof. But something broke today. Guys did a really good job with the car, though. I think we're going to be pretty competitive.
Thanks, Carl. Certainly Ricky and Trevor are keeping their fingers crossed, Marty.
I guarantee you they are. Edwards has only one DNF in his last 64 starts. That was back at Watkins Glen last year. Here at the New England 200, why don't we take you up to speed with Nationwide Insurance with all of our championship eligible drivers, and that leads us off with the race leader. How about it, Dave Burns?
Marty, so far that 2 right side tire change looking very good for Trevor Bain, and the fact that he's running well, a bit of a victory already for crew chief Chris Andrews, who you see right there on the right. Yesterday in final practice, they left something in the car the whole practice that they never got the car to come around on. Trevor told me this morning, I won't know until I go qualifying whether the car is really right. It was. He qualified 7th, and now he is the leader of this race. Vince?
The 88 of Eric Amarola having some issues with the entry. Says it's bouncing really bad on both corners. Said he'd like to drive it harder into the corners, but it's just bouncing way too bad. Their best finish 4th at Chicagoland, 20th last week at Kentucky. Just haven't had those kind of finishes they've been looking for out of Junior Motorsports team this season. Doc?
Reed Sorensen in the 32 car. It's a landmark 150th career start for Reed Sorensen. Now, he came in second in the point standings, 4 points back of Elliott Sadler, although in the past 9 races he has scored more points than any other NASCAR Nationwide Series driver. They say this is Reed's kind of racetrack. 2 of his 4 career wins have come on a track sort of like this, Gateway in St. Louis, long straightaways and tight turns. He's good at rolling the corners right now, a little tight in the middle off. Vince?
Jason Leffler in the 38 car running 9th. He was 13th last week at Kentucky, and when I talked to him today, he said, I think we're a lot better than our results have indicated, but fuel mileage is not the strength of this team. They've been hurt by that this season. Right now, Leffler says the car's still a little bit too tight, needs some help in the center. Certainly, he's fending off those other challengers from behind. Doc?
Justin Allgaier back in 10th position, 4th in the point standings, and Justin said just being careful. Don't want to be over-aggressive here and wear out these tires. Remember, some of the guys here want to put on only 2 tires on that final stop. Justin Austin said, another brand new race car for Turner Motorsports, and this car is even better than what we've been running the past month and a half. Dave.
Doc, you might wonder why Kevin Harvick in the 33 is running so great in the 2-car of Elliott Sadler can't keep the pace. One of the reasons why, Ernie Cope told me that they can't use the same flat track setup that Kevin is so successful with. It's really been hindering him. So for Ernie, he said a top 5 finish would satisfy them today to stay in the points race, but they haven't even gotten that far yet, Doc.
And how about Michael Annett, who has quietly gotten better and better and better driving for Rusty Wallace Racing. Annett coming off his 3rd consecutive top 10 performance and 4th in the past 6 races. What a great effort for Michael Annett here. And he said they felt like they have found something with a new crew chief and a new camaraderie in that team. Annett trying to hold on and maybe get another top 10 finish. Dave Burns.
And Doc talked to Steve Wallace just before driver introductions, asked him how his car might be. You know, he said, I feel the same way I feel every week. The car felt good to me in practice. We just need to see how we can run throughout the day, see how many cars we can pass. So far, Steve hanging in there. See how he does by the end of today. Marty?
All right, thank you, guys. And back up front, Trevor Bain's lead is 2.5 seconds over Kevin Harvick. Brad Keselowski is 3rd. And then Joey Logano and Kyle Busch round out your top 5 here as we are working lap 77 of 200 here at the New England 200. Right now, Trevor Bain looking real strong. Welcome back to the New England 200, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your lavest NASCAR information. And you're looking at our race leader, Trevor Bain. He has led the most laps now of the 3 men that have led this race, as Trevor's led a total of 44 and now working lap number 45 on that. We've had 1 caution. We talked about 3 lead changes with Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, the other involved in the leading pack. Carl is now out of this race along with 8 other cars. He had an engine issue. We have a total of 20 cars still on the lead lap. And right now the lead is up to 3 seconds. Bain is actually pulling away from Harvick, who put 4 tires on during the last stop. And that's at Clean Air up front.
Marty, I tell you what, this track position is everything in the world. This 2-tire change that Trevor Bain did, I think, is fantastic. He's still got the same left side tires on this car that he started the race with. Now, this crowd right here, almost every single lap they're running identical speeds. They all got 4 tires on from the same pit stop. They can't get away from each other. And Ricky, because of what's going on right there, that's the reason I like the 2-tire change. Get him up front. Get that track position. Get away from these guys.
It's really crowded right here, and it's very difficult to give your crew chief information that's going to help make the car faster because you're so preoccupied with trying to get position on that car in front of you on a track that's very difficult to pass, obviously. Trevor Bain is very impressive right here. He's putting down some very fast laps. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does if he does get back in traffic, how that car runs then.
Well, Ricky, I've been looking at these lap times, lap after lap. This last time by, Trevor Bain ran a 30.57 lap compared to Harvick, who just ran a 30.94. So a little over 0.2 of a second faster with still the original left side tires. Them Goodyears are doing an awful good job today.
Great job.
Getting closer to the halfway point, working lap 86 of 200. Let's go back towards the front of the field because there you see Brad Keselowski in the 22. That's Mike Wallace in the 01, making his 401st start. He is a lap down right now as he's getting passed by Keselowski and Joey Logano. They are duking it out for 3rd position as they have fallen about 2 seconds behind Kevin Harvick. And let's get an update on Kyle Busch, who's also in that mix in 5th place. How about it, Doc?
Marty, been a bit of a struggle for Kyle Busch since his pit stop. You know, he was running 2nd when he pitted. They put on 4 tires, made a chassis change with a track bar and an air pressure change. Now, Kyle came off of pit road running 5th. He has not been able to move forward at all. In fact, listen in, he'll tell you what the problems are.
Seriously, man, you cannot pass at all. My train must be off the track. I don't care who you are, that's funny. That is funny.
You heard him making choo-choo train noises, meaning the fact that he just can't get around anybody. He says the car is actually tight in the middle, and when he tries to come off, he said, I lose the nose, so I have to wait to pick up the throttle, and I lose a car length or more that I've gained on entry. He said, I can't go forward, and I'm not making any progress at all. Now, in reply to that, Jason Ratcliffe said, we will change the track bar back and maybe go a different direction with the wedge and try to fix it on the next stop.
And Doc, it just backs up the same thing that you two were talking about with that pack between 9th and 16th positions. They can't make a pass on each other as well. Although right now, as you can see, the slower traffic gives some potential opportunities, but again, nobody's been able to take advantage.
Yeah, what I think is most interesting is that Kyle Busch is running 5th, and he's still got a sense of humor.
Now, you got to remember one thing, Rick. These guys are on a flat racetrack right now talking about how they can't pass. These cars don't have much horsepower. I mean, they're almost 250 horsepower off a Cup car. And we talked earlier about how they're turning more RPM, but it doesn't seem like it's helping.
Rusty, you and I raced on this track in the Cup Series with a restrictor plate. That was probably as close as what we're seeing today in terms of horsepower to the car weight as we look at Trevor Bayne here leading. But, you know, as these guys, the drivers, are going along here about 50 laps into this run on the set of tires, they're doing things inside the car to adjust. The brake bias, for instance.
All right, that's Angela Cope. She's lapped traffic in that 44, and it has allowed that pack to tighten up. That's Jason Leffler in front of Allgaier, then the 62 of Annette, followed by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who brought out our first caution with that spin. That is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Now, as the frustration climbs, drivers will elect to go to the bumper. If they can't make a pass, it will get physical. Maybe a little early. It's lap 92. But watch for these drivers to start using the front bumper if they have to get to the front.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's a good point, Ricky, because back there in the 19th position, the number 30 car of Mikey Kyle is just about to get caught by Trevor Bayne, who is actually Kyle's the last guy in the lead lap. Bayne's getting ready to lap him, and these guys up front know that, so a sense of urgency starting to kick in. Don't be afraid that they will use that bumper, like Ricky just said, Marty.
Well, there is your race leader at the back of this pack, and you're right. Mikey Kyle is the next victim in that number 30 to go a lap down. He's hanging on for dear life right now. As there you see him going around Angela Cope in the 44. Stay with us. We are under our second caution here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As you can see, the safety crew is out on the track. They are collecting some debris that has come up in the entry of turn number 3. Pits will be opening up, and so now we were just getting ready to talk about strategy, and this caution comes out and changes the whole dynamic again.
Yeah. It's going to be so interesting, and the debate might not be 2 or 4. The debate is fuel. You got to fill it up, and if it takes a long time to fill it up, you might as well get 4. You want to fill it up here. There's only 100 laps to go.
Let's send it to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Still going to be about 20 laps shy on field. Top of your screen, Kyle Busch are going to go back and put the track bar back up 1 round. Down 2 pounds of air, left rear, trying to help it out. How about Kevin Harvick, Vince?
Well, Harvick's a little bit too loose in the beginning of the run. They contemplated a track bar adjustment, but decided air pressure in the right front only with 4 tires. Dave?
Leader Trevor Bayne will get 4 tires now. You saw a slight track bar adjustment. And as for the 3rd place car of Brad Keselowski, he will get 4 tires, just a slight adjustment for him, a loose race car.
And the race off pit road, Harvick picks up 1, as does Keselowski. Trevor drops 2. Almirola, the other gainer in the top 7. And Elliott Sadler with 4 tires. His crew does a nice job picking up 3 spots for him. And so now, that will change the restart. Let's show you the race off pit road. And there you see the 33 of Harvick, the 22, and the 16 of Trevor Bayne. And watch the reaction of the crew. They know Kevin can be hard on them, but when they do it right, yeah, that's worth a slap.
As we approach halfway, our 5-hour energy rapid recap. Little Roush Fenway theme going in this one. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a spin at lap 33.
Had a spin, but no one hit him. No harm, no foul.
Right now showing in 15th position as we close in on the restart. Trevor Bayne and Carl Edwards both went for right side tires only on the lap 34 pit stop. Bayne was able to hold on to the lead. Edwards fell back. Trevor has led now more laps in this race than he's led in any single race before. Meanwhile, Carl Edwards, didn't work out so well for him.
Seems like something at the top end of the motor, possibly a valve stem, a valve. Who knows, but it's going to be a short day for Carl Edwards and that 60 crew.
Right now being shown in 34th position and officially retired from the race. Now on the set of pit stops that happened moments ago, Trevor Bayne went from leading to 3rd position. Kevin Harvick and Brad Keselowski picked up a spot apiece. You see Harvick has chosen the outside lane for the restart. Well, the difference on pit road, Basically came down to the speed in which the crew did the service.
Yeah, the guys on Kevin Harvick's crew did a great job, but it's going to be interesting. Trevor Bayne was so fast on those 2 tires last stop. He's led 58 laps. Let's see how good his race car is right now. We're going to see.
And Bayne talking on his radio a second ago with his crew chief about what happened on the last restart.
Thank you. Man, you're putting on a show up there. I'm proud of that, okay? We got half a race to go here. Just keep driving smart. You got a car that can win.
All I know is Keselowski was pushing me like it was Daytona or something. Halfway down the straightaway, he just pushed me all the way past Harvick.
So that's how Bayne got past Harvick on the last restart. Let's see who pushes who here as we get ready for the green as we come to the halfway mark.
And Kevin Harvick selected the high side. Green flag in the air. Right alongside with Brad Keselowski, Logano, Bayne. Here we go. Back to green. 3 wave arounds, McClure, Green, and Cope. And Andrew Ranger got the lucky dog that gets 20 cars back on the lead lap. And it's 3 wide again coming out too.
I'm really intrigued to see how that 16 car drives now in traffic, and it's not looking really good as he's getting split, getting into turn 3.
It's Reed Sorensen on the high side. As you see the battle between Harvick and the 22 of Keselowski. As they come across the stripe, it is Kevin first, then Keselowski, Logano, Kyle Busch, Trevor Bayne in 5th. On board with Casey Kane, he's in 8th.
Well, you really got to seize the opportunity on these restarts. Get as many cars as you can while the tires are cool, because you lose that advantage after about 10 laps.
Kane taking a peek under Reed Sorensen. Whoa, look out, the 88 is loose, almost gets into Trevor Bayne. Almirola makes the save.
Inside, you got to spin behind you, just keep digging.
But it is going to cost the 16, and the caution is out. As the 30 car has gone around, that's Mikey Kyle.
It's a separate instance. We're taking a look at Eric Almirola. I thought he was so sideways you could almost call that a spin.
Eric did a great job to stay off the car to his outside. That's why it took so long for him to correct.
All right, here's what happened with the 88 of Almirola.
Now, if he keeps turning to the right, he's going to take out Trevor Bayne. And he waited until he cleared him. Great job by Eric. Get together.
Now, Mikey Kyle was behind all this. He was on the lead lap.
That's as good as that could have turned out.
Yeah, he did a great job right there, just back steering into that thing and trail braking it, I call. How controlled how that car slid.
Yeah, I got down in there just a tick harder than I probably should have, and it took off bouncing. Couldn't control the bouncing. They won't slow down when it bounces.
Well, guys, throughout the course of the day, and we've talked about the conditions, the handling conditions for the 88 of Eric Almirola, just doesn't feel like they're able to get the back end into the track. As you see his crew chief, Tony Erie Sr., on the top of the box. So they've had some bouncing issues getting it into the corner, and then haven't really been able to get that back end to where it feels like it's getting much grip. So Marty, he couldn't really get much control of it there as he started to get sideways, but what a save.
Yeah, he was running 7th at the time when he got loose here. And we can tell you Mikey Kyle was running 18th. when he went around.
Eric has been complaining about this bouncing all race long. We're riding along with him here. They get together at this point. The back of the car is sliding.
Yeah, I tell you.
Rusty, you described it. That trail brake is when a driver drags the brake into the corner, but not apply it hard. Dragging the brake just slows the car down without upsetting the balance.
Yeah, and if you pop off the brake pedal, it's going to spin right around on you, no problem.
Lucky dog is Mike Wallace, as he's going to get back on to the lead lap. That'll give us 21 cars. And while we got a moment, let's talk about the calendar, because NASCAR Now, the Monday edition, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. And Carl Edwards will be in the studio with Alan and the gang. Our next stop on the Nationwide Series, Nashville, Saturday night. Next week, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And then the drag racing fans mark July 23rd and 24th for the Mopar Mile Nationals as the Western Swing begins. Qualifying on the 23rd, 7 o'clock Eastern, and the finals on the 24th, again at 7, both on ESPN2. And the American Le Mans Series, the Grand Prix of Mosport, Sunday, July 24th, 10 o'clock Eastern, that on ESPN2. So we have got a full month of motorsports.
And I tell you, that's a lot of racing. That's a ton of racing.
Exciting.
A lot of racing out here today, too.
And don't forget, the week after that, we start our coverage of the Brickyard 400 with the 17 straight races, including the 10-race chase. So we'll see you all then on ESPN Family of Networks. Let's reset it for you, as it will be Guys up front with Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Logano and Busch, and Sadler, Sorensen, and there you see on back Allgaier and Nett as we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Harvick again has selected the high side as the race leader. Green flag flies, and here we go.
You see Kyle Busch lined up fourth on the outside. If he can get position alongside the 22 on corner exit, he'll have it getting into the next corner.
You really need to drive pretty aggressive on these restarts while the tires are good. Try to get that track position. Just like Eric Almirola, see him getting underneath Michael and Nett there. Real aggressive move.
Didn't he just do that a lap ago?
It didn't work out too good a lap ago, but
it's hanging on now.
Pretty good form right now there, Marty.
On board with Stephen Wallace as he is looking at the view ahead of him as those two go after each other. There's Ricky Stenhouse in that mix right behind the 66, along with the 38 of Jason Leffler.
Boy, it's busy. You see Casey Keene give a little push.
Whoa, look as 38 gets turned and Jason Leffler hard into the wall. And the caution will come out again.
Was he not cleared or something? That looked like maybe he moved up or...
He was running 13th at the time, and honest to goodness, I mean, it happened faster than you could say, oops.
In the middle of the straightaway, and that's what drives you nuts as a driver. Really, there's no excuse for wrecking in the middle of the straightaway.
Head forward to the garage, see what we can do here.
All right, let's go back a lap earlier. Let's see if we can pick up some things. Keep an eye on the 38 there. Little nudge into the 66. No real harm there. And now, coming down, there's the 38 on the right side of your screen. And Steven comes across. We're on board with Steven.
6-1 back with you. He's looking. 6 is your lane. All right, you're clear. All right, back.
So you can see from every angle. I have a feeling Jason's not going to be real happy with Steven, as the 38 has made it back. Here's the real speed.
So what we got to look at here is did the 6 car get into the back of Steven, or was Steven upset, which is typical of a driver on short track racing, where you just, you get bumped and you say, you know what, you bump me, I'll bump you back. But in this case, he was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it could have been either one of those, Ricky. I mean, it's hard for me to say right now. We're looking at the replays. I actually saw the 38 come up, the 66 come down. I saw the brakes on the left front of the 66 lock up. I'm seeing a lot of stuff moving around here. Just maybe look at some more replays here in a second and try to determine exactly what's happened here.
Well, from the front view, it certainly does look like the 66 got into the 38. We'll get Jason's version when we get a chance. We'll step aside with 93 to go.
Fourth caution flag is out of the New England 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Just into the second half of the race. Yellow waving for Jason Leffler, crashing on the back straightaway after some contact with Steve Wallace, who might have had some help in there as well, as we were looking through some of the replays a moment ago. None of the leaders except Ricky Stenhouse have pitted under this caution. Mike Wallace and Mikey Kyle also stopped. Remember that. Might have just topped off the fuel for the final time. We'll see if they make that play. Carl Edwards started this race in his 60 car in the 10th position. Little track position, pit strategy, got him up to the lead. Then this was a sight he did not want to see as he steered that car behind the wall with the help of his crew and climbed out. Carl right now showing out of the race, retired in 34th position. He has kindly come around to step into our ESPN pit studio and join us. That's not the way you wanted the day to end.
No, I did not want to be up here, but as I sat there in the motorhome, I thought this is the best seat in the house, so I appreciate you guys having me here.
We do have some cool toys over here.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm kind of excited to watch how this race plays out. As a driver, sitting out there in the car, there's not a lot of grip on this racetrack. 2 tires, 4 tires, you don't know. I don't know exactly what's better, and it's very, very hard to pass. So you see these guys running side by side in the corner and guys losing it. there were two guys, I think Bain and Almirola, just, all that is the guy on the inside gets that little bit of, air off of his right rear, air off of the spoiler, and slides up into that guy. So I think the end of this race is going to be really exciting, and hopefully you guys let me sit up here and watch it.
Absolutely.
So you want to come over to the TV studio during the race. That means you get to look at replays and give us your view of what happened.
Yeah, and I get to hear the radio chatter. I get to hear what people say after these events.
All right, so here we go in the most recent incident. This is coming off turn 2, down the back straightaway. Left of your screen, Steve Wallace. Ricky Stenhouse behind him. Right of your screen, Jason Leffler. And here we go. So, first thing that happens, Jason Leffler's got a beaten-up race car.
Let me preempt this by saying, as you race with people like this, frustration is high. There's a lot of frustration. And the 66 is getting a little bump draft from Ricky. It's hard for me as a driver to look at that and tell you exactly what happened because I don't know how mad everyone was at each other before it happens. Very difficult to say what actually happened there.
So, end result is that Steve Wallace continues. Jason Leffler's got a very beaten-up race car, and we're going back racing with 88 laps to go.
Kevin Harvick, your race leader, as we pick it back up ahead of Brad Keselowski. Joey Logano will let you know that Jeremy Clements got the lucky dog, 21 on the lead lap. There were no wave arounds this last time. And take a peek just a little bit further back. See that 2 car on the right side of your screen? Remember back on lap 95, Sadler was 13th. He has now worked his way up to 6th, and he's side by side with Trevor Bain.
Hey, Elliott Sadler's doing a great job right now. He's got this car handled much better than he did at the start of the race. He said he was real loose. He's got the car tighter. But I tell you, the perplexing thing is watching Trevor Bain ran so well with those 2 right side tires. Looks like he's struggling just a little bit with the 4. But I really think that track position he got on that restart with Carl Edwards early let him get out front. Carl got locked back in the rest of those cars. Couldn't get the set plea free, but Trevor did.
And Reed Sorensen, this is the battle for the championship, guys, as there goes Reed underneath the 2 of Elliott Sadler.
Eric Almirola, Casey Keene joined in the mix. Eric has been struggling with his car a little bit, obviously not comfortable running underneath Casey Keene for a while. You got to get it. You got to finish the job here because you're abusing right side tires. The longer you run underneath these guys, it takes more effort. Got to turn the wheel harder. Track gets narrower on corner exit. So you either get it done or you back up and cool the tires off.
You see that donut mark right there on the side of Eric's car. Oh, we got a smoker in the front straightaway, guys. It's like a big blow up. Caution flags out.
Caution's out. It looks like it was the 28. Yes, it is, of Derek Cope. So Derek has brought out our 5th caution of the afternoon. As it looks like his engine has expired, to say the least. Carl, what are you noticing so far now that you're up in the catbird seat?
Big time blowed up, boys.
I noticed Derek has a lot more smoke in his engine. We didn't have all that smoke loaded up, but one of the things that's hard to see from this perspective, and I don't know if we've got a camera angle right down on the racetrack, there are 2 distinct amounts of banking in this racetrack. The bottom groove is very flat. There's a little bit of a seam. The second groove makes an abrupt angle up, so the preferred line is right in the middle. You can see Harvick's right side tires are almost on that seam. So he'd be on the flat part right now. And that's when you see guys like Elliott Sadler running beside Bain. You can frustrate a guy so hard, so bad, so much by pinching him down. So you can see where they're running right now. They're up on that second seam, and a guy gets under you, you lose grip. It is the shorter way, but it's very, very hard to pass.
The banking down there, 2 degrees. The steepest is only 7 degrees. To give you an idea, we mentioned about Martinsville, that's 12 degrees. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is 9 degrees. And it shows you just how flat this 1 mile magic mile truly is. So our 5th caution for the expiring Derek Cope, as we have completed 116 laps, and we'll get a chance to reset it, and it'll give Eric McClure the lucky dog, although he is 2 laps down. He'll get one of them back.
Marty, watch traffic on pit road. I think we're inside the window now, or at least close enough that all these guys are going to come in and top off. Now it gets interesting. 2 tires, 4 tires. I bet Trevor Bayne takes 2.
Well, a lot of the crew chiefs just did not want to have a fuel mileage race, but that may be what it ends up being. All right, just got word. Vince has caught up with a very frustrated Jason Leffler.
Certainly a big blow in the points today for Jason Leffler coming into this race in contention. Fingers to point or just a racing incident?
I don't know if it's a racing incident. I don't know who to blame for. I'm going to figure it out, though, and it's cost me money sitting in the garage. It's going to come back around. You know, I mean, I can't look at the replay. You can't blame the 66 necessarily, but it was just kind of a dumb move on both their parts. Looked like the 6 got in the back of him as we're all braking, and it's the way it is. You know, just it's like third time I've seen the replay, so just disappointing. Great Clip Chevy was pretty decent. You know, we're in the middle of a championship run, and we've been pretty fortunate this way all this season to not getting caught up in these things that we did today, but I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Tough break for Jason Leffler. They're trying to fix the car, guys, to get it back out to collect some points. He came in 5th in the championship standings.
Well, as they run right now, he has lost 25 points today. He'll drop at least 1 spot down to 6th. Again, we still have some laps yet to run. His only DNF this year was when he ran out of fuel in the last lap at Road America, and boy, you can see the guys just feverishly trying to put as much of that car back together to get out and score those valuable points. All right, while we continue under this 5th caution, let's listen in on Kevin Harvick's radio. We haven't heard much from Kevin today.
I think we ought to go ahead and come and get our fuel here and not have to worry about stopping. The only thing that worries me is, you know, tires are worth something. We can go ahead on and split this run, you know. We can get some laps on these tires, just split the run, hope for a caution there, and get the other ones on and go for it.
All right, let's bring Carl Edwards back in on this. Carl, if it was your call, which way would you want to go?
I'd say stop the least amount of times you have to, because even if tires are worth something, it's so hard to pass on this racetrack that I think you ought to stop, get fuel, and just go to the end, no matter what the tires are. Because if you restart this thing in 3rd and you've got great tires, there's nothing saying you won't be shuffled back and not be able to get back to the front in 50 laps even.
Well, Carl, we watched Trevor Bayne run over 80 laps with his left side tire. So car did slow down a bit. In fact, it looked like it ran faster to us. So we only got 82 to go right now. I got to agree with you. That's a great call. Come down, get your stuff taken care of, and take her to the end.
Let's talk about the last 3 races here at New Hampshire. The winner, Kyle Busch, last year had 4 pit stops. In 09, he had 3. Tony Stewart in 08 had 3 total pit stops.
It's not like the leader gets faster the longer they run. It's that the cars running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th struggle more and more as we continue to run.
Longest green flag stretch since lap 94 has been 3 laps. And Carl, as you can tell by those numbers, the trends sometimes don't always follow.
You know, it would help a lot if we had these numbers in the car.
Do you really think so?
Yeah. It's tough to make these decisions, guys. It really is. I mean, right now the crew chiefs are sitting up there thinking about, you know, what adjustments are we going to make? 2 tires, 4 tires, fuel. Am I going to really upset my driver if I make the wrong call? And then if they got Jack Roush sitting on the box, he's telling them what to do too.
Right,
so
right.
it's a really tough position to be in right now.
Pit road has just been declared open. And so not only is it what do you do, whether or not you come to pit road or not, it's don't give up the track position by having a snafu on the stop. You got to get it full of fuel. You can't give anything up right now.
There are a lot of nerves on pit road right now.
Here they come.
Oh, look at that. That was interesting. Kevin waited to come on pit road, and he went side by side with Brad. We'll see what happens. Doc, what do you see?
4,600.
Well, they're in their fuel window, guys, so look for 2 right side tires for Kyle Busch, air pressure change, and only 2 right side tires, minor chassis debit. Remember, no tires for Kyle Busch. 5th.
The 33 of Kevin Harvick, they say they want to be more aggressive to win, so fuel, no tires. Dave.
I know in 4th, fuel with a chassis adjustment for Chandler rear tires, fuel holding for Brad Keselowski. Who got all the fuel in, Marty?
The race off pit road, Keselowski picks up 1 spot over Harvick. Stephen Wallace picked up 3, and you noticed absolutely nobody took tires. Casey Kane, the biggest loser, as he dropped 2 positions on the race off pit road. So a couple of cars stayed out, including the 09 of Kenny Wallace, the 6 of Stenhouse, and there's the race off pit road.
At New Hampshire Motor Speedway, a little bit of a rugged stretch in today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. A whole pile of cautions in the middle section of the day. Jason Leffler, 5th in the championship, starting the day, taking a hit into the backstretch wall a little while ago. And then Derek Cope having an engine problem that has kept us under the yellow flag for this last little bit in the day. After an exchange of pit stops a moment ago, Brad Keselowski came off pit road first, though he is 5th for the restart. 4 cars did not stop under this yellow flag. Brad and his team conversing. Are we good to go to the finish?
It's full. Save me a little just under caution here, in case we'd like to use it later on. I saw a nod, so I'm assuming that meant full. Yeah, that's why I said go, 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 go. We're all good. Working on our green-white checkers now.
All right, so as we get ready to go back racing here in a little bit, not quite yet, cleanup continuing, let's talk about the situation we've got. We've got Carl and Brad here. We've got Rusty and Ricky and Marty upstairs. First of all, Keselowski, off pit road first. Carl, any kind of advantage there at all? Because he's not the leader of the race.
I think it's just what we talked about in the break. It's going to be who can get out there in front of these guys that may or may not be much slower than them in front of them. What's amazing to me is that nobody took tires. I mean, I know, times are tough. People don't want to spend money. But, I mean, that's no tires for the top 10 guys. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. These first 5 laps, if we can make it through the first 5 laps, will really sort out who's going to stay up front. Just like Carl was saying earlier, track position is so difficult to gain on the racetrack. I think if you can survive this restart and get yourself out and separate a little bit, you got a chance to lead some serious laps.
Very quickly, agree or disagree. The break here between 22, 33, 20, these guys, that's important on this restart? What do you think, Carl?
I think the key word here is aggression. These guys are going to knife through these cars in front of them, or attempt to, with some extreme aggression, because they've got warm tires. They can be really aggressive down in the corners. The tires have a lot of grip right now. And it's going to be hard racing. 3-4 wide's about to come up.
All right, inside 1 to go. Now, the guys up front, Kenny Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Mikey Kyle, they did not pit under this caution flag. Jeremy Clements just did peel off in pit. So now, Rusty, you're the guys with the better cars on average on the day, and you're lined up behind some of these guys. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration. You want to get past them. You want to get past them quick, but probably one of the things I'm very confused about is why the 09 of Kenny Wallace and why did Ricky Stenhouse not pit? I mean, you got to believe they can make it to the end of the race if they pitted that last time.
Topped off on that last caution, Rusty.
Well, guys, it's obviously going to be congested with those 4 cars up front, but it's going to get physical, in my opinion, because Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, they got to play offense. They got to play offense to get to the front, but they also got to play defense with those cars behind them.
Green flag is out. Kenny Wallace took the low line, and here comes Harvick looking inside already. Mikey Kyle is a sitting duck in the middle in that 30.
Yeah, right now you got to get real aggressive. I like the move that Kevin Harvick made right on the bottom. Get it done right now. Only 75 to go. I know that's a lot of laps, but that's not a lot of laps in a short track when track positions everything. See Kenny Wallace underneath Keselowski right there. Keselowski trying to work the top side of that track, get some bite, get around him.
Kenny has 4 top 10 finishes in his last 7 races, and he slides back in behind Keselowski in 3rd, and all of a sudden Logano takes a peek underneath him. Oh, and gets him a little loose. And here comes Trevor Bayne into that mix as well. So Kenny getting shuffled here. Harvick, you can see him moving around as he's got Kyle Busch behind him.
Yeah, you see Harvick kind of blocking off Kyle Busch a little bit, trying to keep him from passing him. Kind of a normal move most people would make off a turn 2. Not a lot of speed you get off this corner because the RPMs are so low in these nationwide cars.
Yeah, you're gonna see the drivers get a little more deliberate with that front bumper, like we just saw from Logano, because you don't have the time to wait when you got Kevin Harvick breathing down your neck. You got to go now. You got one chance to do it.
See that yellow car, the 32 of Reed Sorensen. He's actually in 8th position right now. And you're saying, where's Elliott Sadler in that championship chase? He's back in 14th.
And Trevor Bayne has just not been the same. You see Kyle Busch go past him here, and really busy here in the middle of the race.
Stephen Wallace trying to get around Casey Kane as he got a bit of a log jam in that section right there, and Eric Almirola with now Michael Annett on the high side, and Annett trying to make it stick, and looks like he may do it.
Tell you what, it looks like Eric Almirola's team has got this car a little bit better. Let's follow him down the straightaway here. This is where he's really struggled. Talked about that car bouncing around. They really got these front springs, coil binding, I call it. Sometimes gives you a really rough ride, and looks like they've been struggling with that problem all day long. But it seems like it's getting better for his car.
He finally clears the 88 as we go on board with Stephen Wallace. It's Almirola right in front of me.
See, Eric gets a little sideways up off of turn 2 and opens the door for Stephen Wallace to make that pass, get down into turn 3.
And as he continues, here's the battle up front as we've got a challenge for the lead. Brad Keselowski wants to take it away from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Doc, what are you hearing down there?
Guys, Ricky Stenhouse came in on lap 95. It's the last time he put tires on. Now, he came back in on lap 109 and topped it off with fuel. They were going to be probably 3 to 5 laps short on fuel. Now, when the caution came out a little bit ago on lap 120, they stayed out, thinking that maybe, just maybe, they've got enough fuel to make it. The gamble may win them a race, or it could cost them a great shot at a championship. Dave.
It's in the driver 22's hands this week with saving some fuel to the end. They should be good, but saving some for the green-white checkered possibility. Crew Chief Todd Gordon hoping to get his second win in a row. Last weekend was his first win as a crew chief. He said, for me, it was special, but for this team, it's an expectation. To win 2 in a row would be no surprise for these champions of 2010, Vince.
From the 33 of Kevin Harvick, still seeking his first win of the season. He hasn't won a nationwide race since last September. The KHI car is certainly good enough, but they just haven't been able to put it all together. Harvick thinks maybe he's got a winner to do it today. We'll find out here in 68 laps. Marty?
And right behind Harvick, it's Kyle Busch in 4th, Joey Logano in 5th. There you see them at the top of the screen, and there's Trevor Bayne as there with 68 laps to go. Keselowski trying to make it 2 in a row after last week's win at Kentucky.
A late barrage of goals from the United States lifting them into the World Cup final, seeking to become the first 3-time World Cup champion. The opponent, a fluid and artistic Japanese team. The final of FIFA World Cup 2011, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on ESPN.
And here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, you're watching the New England 200, the NASCAR Nationwide Series, which you're going to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Just trying to talk as fast as Brad Keselowski's driving here today. Brad, the race leader, with 62 laps to go from the pit studio with Big Brad and Carl Edwards, who fell out of the race, unfortunately, earlier in the day. And upstairs, Marty, Ricky, and Rusty. That last restart kind of broke how we thought it might. People aggressive in traffic, Ricky, and clearly Keselowski got through it a little more cleanly than Harvick, and he's got an advantage now.
Yeah, it allowed him to get into a groove, focus on the racetrack, his braking points, his turn-in points, everything you have to do to go fast, and that may be the difference. I'm hoping Kevin Harvick gets up there, battles him, and then we go back to last week when Brad was trash-talking a little bit. You know? See if anything comes of it.
I'm watching lap times here, you guys, and it looks like Stenhouse just ran a 30.28. The next fastest time up there is a 30.39 behind him. So tires, just what we talked about earlier, tires may be better the longer you run. And I think these front guys right now, as a driver, I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm in my position. I'm going to go out here and do the best I can. But what am I going to do when the caution comes out? Because if there's a caution right now and a restart, that's what you got to plan on.
I mean, well, how hard is Brad Keselowski driving, you think, right now? I mean, what is he doing? What's going through his mind being out front in this situation?
He's driving just hard enough. That's all he's doing. He's saving fuel for that green-white checker, just like his crew chief told him. Stenhouse is the one who really has to save fuel, so he's got a little bit more pressure. Plus, he's got those 2 fast guys behind him.
Now, Brad, I want you to take a look at those top 6 positions you're seeing right there. In fact, take it down to top 7 positions right now, all running about a 30.50 second lap. I mean, it's really hard to make a pass when you guys are all running the same speed. And you guys down there in the studio, I mean, I'm just really seeing that nobody can pass anybody because these cars look to me like they're so equally prepared.
Yeah, they're very, very close. And I noticed, for the however many laps I was out there, not very many, that I got to thank Fastenal and Lennox while I'm up here, too. They paid for a whole race, and they got about 40 laps. But I noticed in those 40 laps, you can get up there and you can kind of work on a guy. And you can, if he's a little loose, you want to watch him. You can get to his bumper. You can maybe get him to make that one little mistake that gives you a lane. But it's very, very difficult to pass.
Carl, what's the etiquette on this track? If you're faster than the car in front of you and he's holding you up and you know he's holding you up, at what point do you say, all right, I got to get physical?
That's a very, very good question, and you're about to find out what it is here. These 4 guys are all they're all thinking trophy right now. I think the etiquette at this type of racetrack is evolving. I think what you're seeing is guys realizing, hey, we can't really pass. And as it gets down to the end of the race, you might see just a little bit of pushing and a little bit of rooting and gouging on a guy's back bumper that you maybe wouldn't see when it was easier to pass.
So we come back to the old 3-bump rule people talked about for years.
3 bumps.
Yeah. Bump you the first time to let you know I'm there. Bump you the second time, hey, you're holding me up. And then the third time, it's not going to be pretty.
If something happens tomorrow, I'll tell them you gave me that idea.
That's not an original thought from here.
Tell you, they're asking me what I do. I mean, my gosh, you start running out of time, and NASCAR says, have at it, boys. I believe I got to use the chrome horn just a little bit, but I got to realize the next race I'm probably going to get a payback. So I got to know how hard to use that thing. But, Ricky, I tell you, a question I got right now that I'm wondering about. If this caution comes out with like 45 to go, am I going to stay on the racetrack?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to give up track position because the fact of the matter is, and you said it a moment ago, you got to be a couple tenths faster to even consider getting past the guy in front of you. And we're not seeing guys with that much of an advantage. So I'm not coming. You'd have to beg me on the pit road.
And watch this lap traffic, guys. I noticed while I was out there, it would really change the way that front car handled. When he get beside a lap car, if Ricky could time this just right or Kevin can time it just right, you could see a big move here with lap traffic.
Brad, I'll tell you one thing, Carl, one thing I'd like to know, we talked to Ricky Stenhouse earlier, and he was saying that his team really worked hard on fuel mileage. But I'll tell you what, he's going to have to get a lot of fuel mileage to make this thing to the end, in my opinion.
He's got 54 laps left. If I know Ricky well enough, I don't think he's thinking fuel mileage right now. He'll be thinking about it here in a little while because right now he's looking at that lead thinking if I can get out front, then I can cruise, won't be working the throttle as much, maybe save some gas.
Well, Ricky last pitted, just to let everybody know, back on lap 109. Brad, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, everybody else pitted on lap 120. So with 53 to go, there's your top 5. And they are pretty much running in lockstep. And we'll find out if anybody can get around anyone here at New Hampshire when we come back.
3/4 of the way through the New England 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. There is a new leader in traffic that Carl Edwards mentioned just a minute ago. Ricky Stenhouse just managed to get around Brad Keselowski, and now they're fighting tooth and nail for second spot as we get into the final quarter of this race. Carl Edwards joining us in the pit studio, out of the race earlier today with engine failure. He ran the first quarter of the race. He talked about lap traffic maybe being a factor just before he went to the commercial. How did it play in?
Kevin LePage here wasn't, I don't think they knew which lane he was going to pick. Ricky gambled, went to the bottom, got loose under Brad. Brad side drafts him down the back straightaway, and Ricky says, you know what? It's now or never, and he dives down in the corner. Brad almost wrecks Kevin LePage. I think the thing that's huge about this is they go 3 wide. Kyle Busch, he says, guys, we're going to play a little game of chicken down here at the end of the straightaway and see which one lifts first. Brad wisely lifts off the throttle, lets Kyle shoot out there, and I think that's Ricky's biggest problem right now is that 18 in second place.
You know, thinking back on that, Rusty, Ricky upstairs as Brad Keselowski continues to be shuffled back here. That's Logano going by him for 4th. What lane's Kevin LePage supposed to go in?
Yeah, he's just supposed to hold his position, basically. Just don't be darting from the bottom to the top. Just hold your line, and the faster drivers will get around you. That's what I've always liked to see drivers do. But, of course, if I'm Ricky Stenhouse, I'm on the bottom. I want him to stay up top.
Yeah, you look at Kyle Busch closing in on Ricky Stenhouse here. Almost makes contact, gets alongside him. Remember, Ricky Stenhouse just drove deep into the corner, and the same corner he spun out in earlier. So, got to give credit to Ricky for laying with it there.
Battle for the race lead. Carl Edwards trying to tie Mark Martin with his 49th win. They're side by side with Kyle, I should say. And the 6 right there in front of him trying to hold him off. And he does it for now. And here comes Harvick back into the mist, side by side.
Now, Kyle Busch was intimidating Ricky a little bit there, trying to by laying on his bumper. You see Kevin slide up and get the left rear of the 18 a little bit. And while he was playing with Ricky, Kevin snuck up there, and now he's going to be working on Kyle. So as 2 cars run beside one another, they both slow down. Ricky's got an advantage right now up front.
Yeah, and Ricky Stenhouse is aware of this. He's looking in the mirror and seeing these 2 preoccupied with one another and says, thank goodness.
Yeah, but Ricky's biggest problem may not be these 2 guys. As you can see, he's opened up the lead again. It's fuel. Sunoco fuel is going to be imperative to this guy.
There's no doubt about that, Marty. That's a good point. I mean, he's not saving fuel, and we can tell that because he's got to run hard to stay in front of these guys at the moment, and that's what he's doing.
Here's the strategy. He was 16th before he stayed out on lap number 120 when everybody else came in. If he does not get a caution, he's going to have to pit. But if he does, well, then he stays up front, right? Because no one else is going to pit.
I'm guessing he doesn't pit anyway, regardless. But I got to admit to you, I can't get my eyes off Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. They've been very courteous to one another. I wonder how long that lasts as Joey Logano joins the mix.
Jeremy Clements in the 51 as the lap traffic sort of separates the two of them now. And there's Joey Logano right behind Kevin as they'll both go around the 51. And there is Trevor Bayne. Now remember, Bayne has led a total of 58 laps today. Harvick has led 59.
And we know Trevor Bayne's car runs best on high air pressure. The left side tires that he left on lap 33 suited him. And that's what we got here now. Dave, what do we have on the 22?
Well, he's jumped back to that 6th position there, Ricky. Maybe the 7th if Sorensen can handle him. About 3 laps into the run after he got the lead, he said the car was real loose, and then he said it went right to the tight side. The crew actually jumped up like they thought he might have a real problem. But ever since then, he radios in saying, I've just been holding him off. My car is very, very tight.
There's no speed in tight. You know, tight means that you got to slow the car down to get it to rotate. It takes horsepower to get it going again.
You know, I've been running numbers sitting over there with Alan and with Brad in the last couple of races on fuel models. I've been watching what these cars can get on field models pretty well all year long. Guys, the most I've seen a car run is the most they can get is about 5 miles per gallon. At the max we've seen all year long, they can only run like 92 laps. Now we're on a short track, which burns a lot more fuel. Ricky, they're all telling me down there about a half a mile per gallon less, about 4.5 miles per gallon compared to 5 at the best on the mile and a halves.
And you know as well as I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know as well as I do also, though, that it has to do with the balance of your car. A tight car will use more gas because you're more aggressive with the gas pedal up off the corner. A loose car allows you to roll faster through the middle.
And I guess where I'm going with this story is I don't see any chance in the world that Stenhouse can make it unless he gets a caution for many laps.
That's interesting.
Reed Sorensen gets around the 22 of Brad Keselowski as Sorensen will pick up the 6th position. And you're saying, well, where's Elliott Sadler, the championship contenders? He's back in 15th. So we could, by the end of this day, have another change in the points lead.
I'll tell you this, that yesterday talking with the drivers, they've had their fill of managing fuel, okay?
Oh, yeah.
They want to mash the gas and go.
Doc, what are you hearing on the 6 as far as how far they have to go before they have to stop?
Well, guys, Mike Kelly, the crew chief for Ricky Stenhouse, has no plans, and I said no plans, to bring Ricky back on the pit road. That's Mike on the right side of your screen. I want to go back 1 week. Toward the end of the Kentucky race, there was a heated discussion between Mike Kelly and the driver Ricky Stenhouse because Mike told Ricky to save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. Ricky thought he was running down Carl Edwards and Tony could pass him, but he backed up to save fuel, and then found out later they had to pit anyway. So Ricky was very, very upset. Mike, thus far, has not told Ricky to save fuel. Remember, they pitted on lap 109. That is 91 laps from the checkered flag. Yes, they got a caution flag for 6 more laps, but it's still going to be very, very close. And I got to believe when you're 3rd in points, that is one heck of a gamble.
36 laps to go, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is running 30.4 second laps. Kyle Busch in 2nd is 30.5, so he's not saving anything. Can he pick up his 2nd win? Stay with us to find out. Take a look at the race off pit road as several cars back in the field decided to pit here with 32 laps to go. We have a caution for debris. It is our 6th. There was a piece of metal right on the front straightaway, and Ricky Stenhouse, as we talked about, did not come. Neither did Kyle, Kevin, Joey Logano, or Trevor Bayne. And Carl, if it would have been you, would you have come?
No way I wouldn't have come. No way. You only live once. You got the lead. You think you can win the race. You got the Boston Red Sox on the car up here in New Hampshire. John Henry, all the folks are watching. You got to stay out. And I don't think, even if they didn't get this caution, they were going to do whatever it took to make it to the end. So now they're for sure going to try.
How about the guys that did pit, though? They were further back, like Keselowski was falling back. Was it a good move on his part?
Well, I heard Rusty talk a little bit about the lap times, and they really were falling off. Rusty pointed that out, and I thought that was pretty astute observation. And some of the crew chiefs probably see that and realize, hey, you know, if they keep getting slower and slower, we get a couple more cautions, some restarts, a guy with tires might be able to come up through the field.
But what surprised me, Carl, is that the 32, I didn't see him get tires. I mean, a lot of those guys that came in, they just grabbed some fuel, so they were playing it safe, I guess.
They must know more than I do. I would have got tires. at least two when you're going to put fuel in it. But I don't know. It's really interesting. I think a lot of the Cup crew chiefs right now are watching this thing, going, "What are we going to do tomorrow?" Because it's going to be even tougher to pass tomorrow.
So, as we look at this field right now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is your leader. Kyle Busch is second, and Kevin Harvick is third. Here's what we heard on Harvick's radio just a few moments ago.
That 18 would have never made it. If it wasn't for Mike Helton coming over and telling me that if I touched him, he'd park me. So it's kind of like, not really boys have at it with everybody but that one. So I got to be really, really cautious around that car, or NASCAR. Yes, 10-4.
Well, and you guys made that observation that how nice they were playing with each other. Carl, your thoughts on this?
You're lucky he's holding me back. That's what he's saying. You're lucky. Holding me back. But, you do have to be careful. I don't know what kind of probation those guys are on. I think they're doing a really good job of racing each other. And, this is hard racing, and they both know that they've got some history, and they've got to keep it clean. It's a tough position for both of them to be in.
And they both know that if they start something today, they might finish it tomorrow. So neither of them can afford that at this point.
All right, before we go back to green flag racing, let's talk about another championship that's going to conclude tomorrow on ESPN, and it is the Open Championship. And today, if you saw any of it early, high winds, the rain was sideways. Leader is Darren Clark at 5 under. The final round of the 2011 Open Championship, ESPN at 6 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And he leads by 1 stroke over Dustin Johnson. All right, let's talk to the crew chief for that number 6. How about it, Doc?
I think Mike Kelly's a very good poker player. You even convinced me you were going to make it on field, but are you breathing easier now?
Well, a little bit. It ain't over yet, but the Boston Fenway Ford Mustang's been really good out front here tonight. We'll see what happens here. It's still a long way to go.
Can you hold off the 18?
That's a tough question. I've seen a lot of great drivers try, and if I had anyone to do it, I'd say Ricky Stenhouse could do it.
All right, we're going to find out. He has not told Ricky that they're close on fuel at all. He just told Ricky to go get them and win this thing. We'll see how close they really are.
Well, last week, Brad went the final 100 miles on a tank. Ricky's going to have to go about 97 if the race ends in 200. You talk about Kyle and his winless streak. Well, it's been 5 races, and oh, look at that slump, folks. His worst finish is a 4th. There'd be guys that would kill for this, and Kyle hates it.
I would have killed for that. I had a crew chief come to me yesterday and say, listen, our shift is focused from horsepower to fuel mileage because so many of these races have been settled by fuel mileage. Typically, as a team, you never want to give up horsepower, but you got to do something if you're going to focus on fuel mileage. And that's interesting how things are playing out today, 24 hours after he said that.
All right, we've got 21 cars on the lead lap. There you see Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as Stenhouse. And Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick side by side, row 2, row 3 with Annette and Trevor Bayne, row 4, Stephen Wallace, Brian Scott, and there is row 5 with Allgaier and Bliss. The 51 of Jeremy Clements got the lucky dog. We're back to green flag racing with 28 laps to go. 3 wide into the corner, Harvick down low.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be really tight off of turn 2.
Whoa, that was close. Harvick falls in back behind the 6 of Stenhouse, and Kyle is on the high side. What? Ricky's done a nice job of holding Kyle off. Kyle's usually good on those restarts when he's up front.
And the part that impresses me the most is that Ricky Stenhouse spun in that same turn, and typically that hangs with you, makes you a little apprehensive the rest of the race.
Reed Sorensen getting close and side by side with the 62 of Annette. Meanwhile, here comes Kyle taking a look on the inside of Stenhouse for the race lead. Remember, Kyle wants win number 49. And he's going to take the lead going into the corner. Can he close it?
That was power move. He drove in way deep and just slid up in front of him.
Difference is he hung on to the car.
And Ricky Stenhouse was generous and worked with him there.
Oh, and Stenhouse gets loose. And that may cost him second place.
You're all good. You're all good.
Harvick
cost him second place. Rusty, you know that heats up the right rear tire, and it'll punish you for 2 or 3 laps.
Well, he's driving hard. There's no doubt about that. We also know now he's definitely not saving gas. But he's trying hard. I agree with Carl. Hey, it's late in the race. This is our hometown up here for our sponsor. Hey, man, I'm going to hammer down, get what I can. I like the way this guy's driving. He's doing a good job.
Yeah, Ricky's an amazing driver. He really is. He's being aggressive. Right now, he's balancing, how do I race these guys with wanting to win this race? When Kyle went by him, all he did was make sure he had that right front tire in front of Ricky's left front, and he just drove down in there. I think Ricky was really battling with whether or not he should run right into the back of Kyle and move him out of the way. But Kyle got the move, and looks like Ricky's going to be able to hang on to second here for a while. So if they get another restart, if I know one thing about Ricky Stenhouse, he'll need a little time to think about that, and Kyle will have to be on his guard.
Take a look at Trevor Bayne back there, guys. I would get the camera to pan back a little bit, really wiggling the car around. He might be having a flat tire or something.
Yeah, I noticed it too, Rusty.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne might be struggling, but Stephen Wallace just got passed in. They're moving to 5th place, and something's up with the Bayne car.
Get a close-up look now on Trevor. This is where he was making this move the last lap as he came down the front straightaway. Maybe he was just checking to see if he had a potential flat.
Looks like he's got a little bit of damage on the left front. I think him and the 33 were racing pretty hard, and he got a little damage right behind that left front tire, and there was a little bit of smoke, so he's probably trying to make sure he doesn't have a tire rub.
Stephen Wallace has fought his way into a top 5 position now. His career best finish in 175 starts is 5th, a total of 5 times. And here comes Trevor right back to try and take the spot away.
Yeah, and they're gonna have their mirror full here with Brad Keselowski, who's charging back up through the field.
Now remember, Keselowski was one of those cars that did stop.
And I believe Keselowski took 2 tires, so he may be benefiting from it.
They still have 22 laps left. Stenhouse is running very fast lap times. I wonder if he can get back to Kyle Busch in some of this lap traffic, how he'll race Kyle after Kyle kind of really slide jobbed him down there in 3. So this will be pretty interesting.
And we can tell you Keselowski did take 4 tires. Got the update from pit road, so he gets around Stephen Wallace, moved Brad into the 6th position. And there you see those guys, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Kyle Busch is up front. There you see the gap. It is a total of almost 1 second. And Kyle going to tie the history of Mark Martin's 49 career wins with 21 to go. 7th caution has just flown as a result of a spin by the 22 of Brad Keselowski. Now remember, Keselowski took 4 tires on the pit stop. He was running 6th, trying to get around Trevor Bayne, and here's what happened.
Take a look at it. He just sails it down there, gets loose, getting at the corner, and no room to let the car run up the bank. Gets in the back of Trevor, stands in the throttle, left thing goes around. Just a classic spin with getting what I call arrow loose. Boy, Stephen almost got to him right there, too.
You could see Brad Keselowski start turning right the moment he got into the corner. That's under braking.
Whoa!
That is close.
And you want to see what it looked like from Stephen Wallace's viewpoint?
Spotter's trying to help you here. I always wanted the spotter to tell me where the car was, not where to go. A lot of times the spotter can drive you right into the wreck. So Stephen did a great job there. So and the spotter.
Takes a team, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
It's open here. Come on down.
Justin Allgaier pitting here, guys. 15 laps to go. Evidently his car is not where he wants it.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to take some right side tires here.
No. Right now, Allgaier is 4th in the points championship chase. He's 46 markers back as we speak. And they are going to put 4 tires on that 31. We can't tell you. Trevor Bayne's radio was a little bit interesting after the spin. Let's listen in.
Guys can run into me all they want to, but I ain't going. Doing good there, bud. Doing good.
Of course, Trevor's still looking for his first ever win in the Nationwide Series.
See Keselowski on pit road. You know, Keselowski didn't sacrifice Trevor Bayne there. Had he turned back right really quick, really hard, he would have gotten into Trevor. So we can give him credit there. Dave, what do you got on the 22?
Well, RC, the discussion was whether to keep the tires on from the spin or put the 25-lap scuffs on, because Brad said he didn't feel a vibration after he got going again, but they decided safer to put the tires on that had been re-glued, and he's off with some used tires.
That's interesting. You know, they're not.
You just let Trevor Spotter know that that's his gimme after Daytona. We're even.
We can't. Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about.
Anytime I hear even, it has something to do with paying somebody back.
Yes, somebody trying to get even, somebody mad about what's been going on. Carl, what are you seeing up there?
What's going on there is Brad felt like he was faster than Trevor. and he ran underneath him, and Trevor didn't let him go, which, you know, with 23 laps, you know, you can't let a guy go. But Brad did. He did resist the urge, like you guys were saying, to sacrifice Trevor there, and he went ahead and spun himself out. So, you know, he was racing as hard as he could, but he's still frustrated because he probably could have taken that 16 out and kept going.
Racing is a game of such emotions, isn't it? And we talked, one of the things, while you were out there racing, we were getting ready to race, we were talking about the frustration of racing at this particular track and how high a level that can get to.
A lot of frustration, and you know, we're looking right now at Kyle Busch, a guy who's been able to channel that frustration. He's out front right now. He's doing a really good job. Trevor Bayne, I can tell you guys, he has been at the shop every day the last couple of weeks. He has rededicated himself to this team. He's been working hard, and I think in his mind, Trevor Bayne's saying, hey, we're up here, I'm running well, I'm not giving these guys an inch, and that's his right to do that.
You know what I've noticed, though? Carl has been dancing around in this seat over here on every restart. He's driving the car, beating us up. Well, you sit still for just 2 seconds while you're watching the race.
That's hard to watch this stuff, man.
He keeps tapping. He's like, look at it, look.
Well, you can see this stuff coming. When you're in the race car, folks, it looks so nice when you watch it on TV. The cars look like they do everything you want them to. But out there, these guys are driving down in these corners. The cars are sliding and they're slipping. And what you just saw with Brad and Trevor, that's going on every lap with these guys. So when you see the cars close together and you know that positions and race wins are on the line, it's nerve-wracking.
All right, Carl Edwards here with us in the pit studio after his car fell out of the race earlier. Let's set up this restart. We're going to go green with 11 laps to go. You're Kyle Busch. You're Ricky Stenhouse. What are you trying to do? And particularly,
I want to be Kyle Busch.
But Stenhouse racing for a championship. How aggressive can he be?
That's a good point. See, Kyle's not racing for a championship. Now, Kyle's going to take the inside here because he knows, and Ricky knows, that that's how Kyle got past Ricky the last restart. Ricky also knows that this is his one chance to get out front and to win this race. So I have a feeling you're going to see Ricky Stenhouse be ultra aggressive, and Kyle Busch is going to do everything he can to keep him behind him.
Marty Rusty, Ricky, ultra aggressive was the quote. We'll mark that down and see if it plays out. I'll bet it does.
Gotta pin it down.
There will be 11 laps to go when we go back to green. Andrew Ranger gets the lucky dog. 21 cars on the lead lap, and boy, Kyle gets the patented restart. Ricky's in trouble.
Yeah, the only chance Ricky had was to stay firm on his right rear quarter. That wouldn't allow him to drift off the exit. Now he's in clean air all by himself.
Trevor Bayne down the middle there as he's trying to punch his way through, and he's into the 4th position, right behind the 33 of Harvick, and there's Logano right on his quarter panel.
11 laps to go. Drivers getting narrow-minded. Here we go.
Logano gets into the 16. He's going to go around. Can everybody avoid it? Look out. He gets more contact from the car coming through. That Jeremy Clements 51.
The 66 got the 20 below you there.
And you heard the radio that maybe Stephen Wallace involved as well. And did I see the 32? Yes.
Wow.
Reed Sorensen involved in this.
That's a big penalty for him.
Sorensen was running in the top 10. There's the damage on Clement's car. All right, let's go back and take another look at this.
Yeah, the 66 car gets in the back of the 20 car. Logano definitely gets him up into Trevor Bayne. Late racing, no doubt about that. Tempers are really starting to go right now. The drivers are really getting jacked up, but that's definitely Stephen's fault right there. Just gets aggressive.
And then watch what happens to Sorensen right there as he's going to hit Trevor. So he's got damage to the front. And here's on board with Stephen.
Remember, there's only 2 degrees of banking here. Tries to get along underneath Logano, and he loses the front. We hear this chatter. The front tires probably chattered, slid into Logano. The chain reaction. That's from Kevin Harvick.
Spin behind you. No caution yet. Caution's out. 66 ran into the 20. It took the 16 out.
So, Rusty, you said if the tempers were flaring there, watch them now, right? Because with less than 10 laps to go.
Here's the worst news. The 32 of Reed Sorensen is not able to get refired.
It's like it goes in gear, so it shuts the motor off, so something's engaging. Get ready.
Second points coming into this race. What a penalty for Reed Sorensen.
He was second by 4 at one point. In fact, he would have taken the points lead had he stayed in that 7th position. As we go to break, a huge turnaround for the 32 of Reed Sorensen and a turnaround for the 16 of Trevor Bayne.
NASCAR Nationwide Series at New Hampshire is brought to you by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of the military, veterans, and their families. And Verizon 4G LTE, built so you can rule the air.
Well, we are under our 8th caution, and probably the best news for Ricky Stenhouse is, unless we go green-white checker, he mathematically should have enough fuel to go now.
There is that green-white checker thing, isn't there?
Absolutely. We'll never know.
And we are at a short track, and it always happens at these short racetracks.
And it seems like we've had a few cautions here in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, you think they're getting mad out there?
I think they're getting madder by the lap, by the minute.
Doc, what are you hearing on that 6 car?
Well, you heard Carl Edwards a moment ago comment about how Ricky Stenhouse doesn't like to take it when it's been given to him, like a little bit ago when he got passed. Mike Kelly, the crew chief, firmly believes that Ricky Stenhouse would consider roughing up the 18 on the restart. And there's Mike Kelly. He said, Ricky, you know, it's about winning a race. It's about maybe roughing him up because he got a slide job earlier. But they're really concerned about the 33 car behind the 6 because he said Harvick has a lot to gain if he would have contact with the 6 in terms of the big picture and the championship.
Let's see if Ricky learned from his last restart, because he did a pretty poor job on the last restart. He needs to do a better job this time as we see Joey Logano leaving pit road.
And also the 16 is in to get some fresh Goodyears as well. And we can tell you Blake Cook is going to get the free pass. He will be 1 lap down now. And Reed Sorensen is back out on the track. He is 1 lap down. And he is shown right now in 21st position, which would drop him, if everything holds the same, about 13 points behind Elliott Sadler. Vince, give us some more information from your end of pit road.
One thing to keep in mind in reference, Doc Punch was talking about just a moment ago in the 33 and the dynamic that he might be playing into here with these top 3 drivers. Harvick says his car is really loose the first few laps after the restart. So keep that in mind. It's not as good as he wants it to be when you're trying to get past somebody in this traffic of the restart. That might make a difference in whether or not he can make a move for the win. Dave?
And Vince, these late restarts get the tempers going. Listen to Elliott Sadler's radio.
I'm sure my toe end is knocked in or out by now. This 09 has door slammed me the last 2 restarts. I've gotten really tight, so I'm guessing he's knocked my toe in and my left front fender in a bunch.
That's right. When he gets to him, knock him out of the way. He can't drive. You get to him, you knock him right out of the way.
Yeah, 10-4.
Okay, in that case, I guess the crew chief was a little bit more hot than the driver.
And Kenny Wallace will restart 9th in that 09 car. Sadler will be in 12th.
Kevin Harvick has compromised a little bit. If his car is loose, particularly on corner entry, you want to line up on the outside lane. Very difficult to go underneath somebody with a loose race car.
Let's reset it for you. It's Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse, then Harvick and Stephen Wallace. Row 3, Scott and Michael Annett. Yes, he's up there as well with Kane, Almirola, Wallace, and Nemechek. That's your top 10. Busch has taken the inside as he's done before. Green flag in the air. And here we go. It's a shootout. 4 to go. There goes Wallace around as he is hit with the 11. More contact as the 11 gets tagged by the 88. And we have carnage in turn number 2.
It's not like we couldn't see this coming. I mean, the drivers are getting more and more aggressive.
That's Andrew Ranger. He had just gotten back on the lead lap. There's what's left of Mike Wallace's car. Wallace was running 14th on the restart. And Stevens a little hot under the collar at Brian Scott. We might have to get, well, that's usually the Friday night fight crew. We might need to get them to shift over to Saturday night because we're going to have some hot tempers in the old garage area tonight.
Man, it's a short track race, and, you know, Steven and Brian are best of friends. They're with each other all the time, so they get along good. But, you know, I'm going to, for Brian, I'm just going to call it tight racing, too. I mean, he got down there late, and Brian got up into Steven. That was it. See, Mike, my brother, tore all up right there. Joey Logano, he was in the very back of this thing. Got the front end tore off. They were in pit road just a little while ago, Ricky.
That's right. That extra stop is what put him into that mix. And you saw the rash of cautions that we have now had. This is going to take some time to clean up.
Now we got to go back to Ricky Stenhouse and fuel mileage.
We talked about the green-white checker. Here we go. Boy, Annett almost gets into it as well. And this is from Stevens' point of view. from Eric Almirola's car.
Yeah, it's just cars all slowed down the corner in this restart. Tires aren't warm. They're not up to speed. I think everybody gets a freebie on that one, in my opinion.
It goes back to what Carl Edwards said a moment ago. Guys are getting off the gas when others are getting on the gas. Guys are touching the brake when other guys are going back to the accelerator. And as a result, contact's made. They start jamming up. You saw Elliott Sadler escape the bottom, which was a great move, but
yeah, if you look at Brian Scott, it looked like he just got a little bit loose, and then it went bad. And you'll notice a lot of those guys that ended up involved in it in the end, I think they were looking to get by a couple guys while they were spinning, and it turned into a big mess off it too. That's one of the toughest things as a driver. When you see a wreck, you see people start to spin, to just start thinking, all right, let's preserve our car. You look at Brian Scott's car tore up, Joey's tore up. It's really hard to not keep being aggressive and drive through those wrecks.
And this is going to take us a little time to clean up because you can see all the fluids from the 01. As the sweep crew is already trying to get that under control.
And Ricky gets one more chance. One more chance.
What can he do?
And Kyle.
He has been whooped twice on those restarts.
He's been spinning his rear tires. You called it, Rick. You can see that those rear tires spinning. You've got to warm the tires up. You've got to do everything you can to get them warm. And, Kyle does such a good job at getting that to get that car rolling initially when he steps on the throttle. And, Ricky's learning a huge lesson. He's getting to start right next to one of the best restarters in the business right now. He's getting, even if he doesn't win the race, he's going to learn a lot here today.
He's driving a baseball-themed car. I was about to say 3 strikes and you're out. He's going to get a 4th attempt at it right here.
Yeah, I'm sure he's really excited about that. There's a lot. It's very special to us here. I drive for the Roush Fenway team. I'm one of Ricky's teammates. We went to Boston. John Henry is a huge racing fan. He's got iRacing.com, which is a really neat program. Fenway Park's been here for 100 years. And there's a lot of pride on the line here. To win with that baseball car would be huge.
Hey, Carl, that guy sitting on the other side over there, he happens to be a huge Red Sox fan. I'm talking about Alan Bestwick. And our director is a huge Yankees fan.
Well, I'm going to go with Alan on that one. We could probably get you some tickets if you need them. Maybe even get Ricky to sign a car for you.
Check out some of this latest mayhem and carnage from on board one of the championship contenders, Justin Allgaier.
If you listen to us,
look at this, and he's still going.
Grabbing gears and hitting cars.
And the camera lived, too.
And he's not happy. He could, he got back on the throttle. I think it looked to me like the wreck was over, and then all of a sudden, the car comes backing up across the racetrack in front of him. Very tough.
So for people at home watching, they say, why don't they just stop? Because if you stop, you get run over from behind.
Yeah. So while they continue to clean up here and set us up for whatever's going to happen in the shootout to the finish of this, it'll take a minute to remind you that coming up for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, race at Nashville Super Speedway next weekend. Then some more short track action in Indianapolis. Go out to Rusty Wallace's Iowa Speedway and a little road course racing at Watkins Glen and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Join us at some of those upcoming races. If you'd like to find out about tickets, that website or that phone number is the way to go. NASCAR Nationwide Series, we've had a lot of great racing, a lot of twists late in these races, we've had more last lap passes for the win this season, I think, than we've had in many years, if not ever. I got to grab my stat sheet and look that one up, but I know that was in one of my notes that I studied earlier.
Well,
had some wild races, haven't we?
We really have, and after today, going to next week's race, we're going to need a lot of new race cars.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, I think Mike Helt might be paying attention to this last restart that we're about to have, this next restart we're about to have. We've got Kyle and Kevin starting side by side.
Man, somebody get Mike and get him out of the booth there just for a second. Let's let these boys restart this thing. Let's see that.
Speaking of NASCAR President Mike Helt. Okay. There's a look at the green-white checkers, and we've had multiple attempts at the green-white checker in all but one of the overtime races this season. And by the way, a third of the races so far this year have had a last lap pass for the lead. Doc?
Guys, the last couple of laps, Kyle Busch has been asking on the radio for a red flag from NASCAR to stop the cars and allow the cleanup to take place without running laps on the racetrack. Why? Because Jason Ratcliffe says we are very, very close on fuel. Remember, they pitted on lap 120. Their fuel window is about 78 to 80 laps. We are now at 201. He says we may have enough, he says, for a green-white checkered, but it's going to be very close. Vince.
Fuel not an issue for the 33. David Hyder says Kevin Harvick has plenty of fuel, but we heard Kevin talk about how loose his race car at the start of the runs happens to be. How's that going to affect him here as he lines up next to Kyle for this final restart?
Well, he's just going to have to go for it. There's nothing we can do from in here. We've played all of our cards and laid the strategy out, and the cars had a good run all day. I want to thank Ream and all of our sponsors, all the people over at KHI for building us great cars. We've had really good runs all year, and we'll see how the showdown is going to turn out here.
It's about to shake out, Alan.
So while we wait for the cleanup to be finished and get back to the final laps to try and settle this one out, Carl Edwards has been kind enough to join us in the studio throughout the race and kind of open it up and have a big old roundtable discussion among everybody. Brad kind of hinted at how Carl does a lot of, studio seat driving while he's watching these races. We thought we'd offer you some proof.
I didn't realize the camera was rolling.
Oh, the cameras are always on, Carl. They're always on.
That's a good one. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Yeah, you can see even the wreck behind me. Look at that. Yeah. You got to be careful, folks. You never know who's watching. But
That's exactly right.
It's pretty amazing. I'm becoming a huge fan of the Nationwide Series sitting up here. This is pretty cool.
Good race. Good race.
Been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, time to settle this thing. Let's head upstairs. Marty, Ricky, and Rusty. I'm going to sort that out by the end of the day. Let's sort out the end of this race.
All right, the two best buddies are going to start side by side, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. But remember the radio chatter, Kenny Wallace and Elliott Sadler? Wallace is going to restart 7th, right ahead of Sadler. And Sadler said he'd move him out of the way if he had to. Sports Center is going to be coming up next as we are getting ready for our first attempt at a green-white checker. Behind Busch and Harvick, it is Stenhouse and Annette, Kane and Almirola, and then Kenny Wallace, Nemechek, Sadler, and Mike Bliss has worked his way into the top 10 thanks to avoiding the carnage in that last wreck. Pace car is off. Here we go.
You ready?
Watch him on this restart. If they run out of fuel, it could be on this restart.
Harvick's right there with him. The 6 car runs up the 62. They both go high, and it allows Casey Kane to duck underneath. Almirola going to go 3 wide. There's Elliott Sadler going 3 wide.
Yeah, Sadler on the very bottom. He got a good bite. He's starting to get underneath him and get away from him. But remember, these guys still got real cold tires. Not a lot of grip out there right now.
Kyle got a little sideways coming through 3 and 4. Here we come with the white flag. So this race is going to finish now. Does Kyle pick up win number 100? Does he tie Mark Martin for 49 nationwide wins? It looks like Kevin Harvick has the only shot at him. Down the back straightaway for the final time.
He's obviously got to get to him if he's going to make a difference in who determines in who wins this race.
Don't think it's going to happen. Coming out of 4. Here comes Kyle.
Reach to win 100 wins. You ought to be proud of yourself. Good job, bud.
And he's done it.
Yeah, man. Way to dig it. Way to dig it.
Kyle Busch, his 49th win, his 100th in the 3 series combined. Kevin Harvick comes home 2nd, Casey Kane 3rd, Stenhouse in 4th, Eric Almirola rounds out the top 5.
Literally amazing.
49 equals 100 today.
100 wins.
Very impressive.
Mark Martin's 49th win came in his 232nd race. Kyle's done it in 217. Let's talk to the winning crew chief. How about it, Doc?
Well, let the record show that Jason Ratcliffe made the call, the gutsy calls, for win number 100 for Kyle Busch. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm, the 100 obviously is important, but I'm just as excited for Kyle to tie. I mean, to be in the same category as a driver like Mark Martin. Without a doubt, he is one of the greatest that's ever been in a race car and in this sport. So just to be in the same category, I know that's a big deal for Kyle, and obviously 100 is a big deal too. I'm glad we finally got this one. I didn't know if it just kept getting away. So I didn't know if we were going to get 49 or the good Lord was going to come bring us home first. Either way, it'd have been good, but it was a great day for us, and we were happy to do it in our Z-Line Toyota.
Okay, go celebrate.
to burn the hides off of that car. The 100 flag out the window. And what an accomplishment.
Well, they knew it was going to happen. They already had the flag made, ready to go.
You're awesome, brother. You are awesome. Happy 100, happy 49.
A great day for Kyle Busch. And there is his breakdown. 49 here in the Nationwide Series, 29 in the Camping World Truck Series, and 22 in Sprint Cup action for 100 total. Let's check in on the man who finished in second. How about it, Vince?
Made Kyle Busch earn it today, that's for sure. Kevin, that final restart, what was the difference?
I couldn't get going on restarts all day. Got to thank all my guys on this Rheem Chevrolet. The car was okay after I could get going, but I just couldn't get going on the restarts. I'd like to have handled it earlier, but NASCAR's put an end to all that.
Kevin Harvick, second for the second week in a row. Dave?
Vince, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., fourth today, third place still, 18 out now. Ricky, talk about the crazy finish.
Yeah, it was crazy. We, I made a mistake there early, trying to get by the 31. He was holding everybody up, and I just tried to push the issue too hard and got in there and got too tight and spun around there. But great day, great call by Mike Kelly getting us track position, and having enough fuel to go to the end. This Red Sox Fenway Park 100 Years Edition is a cool-looking car. Wish we could have got it in victory lane.
And that was a great day for them, the 6 car of Ricky Stenhouse.
Casey Kane, third place today. Gave it a good run up there at the end. How was your day? Because you weren't up in the front a lot today, then you made a nice finish.
Yeah, I mean, we were 6th, 7th, 8th, somewhere in there probably. But the cool thing was I got to be right behind everybody's wrecks and just dodge them and miss them. And I watched Stephen Wallace run through people. I watched, I don't know who else. The 44 cars doing some weave down the straightaway. So it's actually pretty entertaining for my seat. But GoDaddy team did a good job. We got a solid finish for probably a 7th place car, and ended up pretty good. Kyle won again, which is pretty cool for him. I think he broke a big record there in the Nationwide Series.
Casey Kane, good run for Junior Motorsports today, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. And as Kyle Busch heads back to his car to head toward victory lane, thoughts from Brad Daugherty and Carl Edwards on what we've seen here today. Carl?
It's a very realistic television coverage here. I can smell the smoke.
They stopped and did the burnouts on the back too.
Very exciting race. I mean, our Fastenal Lennox Ford was out early, but I'm glad you guys let me come up here. It's an exciting finish, a big day for Kyle. You heard him give the whoop whoop there at the end. Pretty pumped up, and proud of Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne. I thought they did a really good job, and overall very exciting racing. So just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Once again, we have another race that comes down. Green, white, checkered, last few laps. Don't know what's going to happen. Kyle Busch, congratulations on winning 100 races across the 3 series. Quite an accomplishment.
26 years old, Kyle Busch, taking over the all-time win record in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Carl Edwards, thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot. And yeah, thanks to the whole Red Sox Nation for having us up here. And tomorrow's going to be great. Looking forward to the race tomorrow.
Put it on them.
I hope.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
And now in the left rear of Eric Almirola's car is peeled open like a can, but a top 5 for you. How'd you do it?
Well, it got hectic there. Our GT Vodka Chevrolet was pretty decent all day. We weren't as good as we wanted to be. We weren't good enough to win, but we were a solid 5th to 10th place car, and we come out here with a 5th. So really proud of Pops and all the guys. They worked really hard all weekend. We were good off the truck. We were a top 10 car off the truck, and to come out of here with a top 5 has been good. Everybody at Junior Motorsports has been working their guts out. So it's fun to come and have a good weekend and put it all together and get a top 5 and show off some of the hard work the guys have been doing back at the shop.
2 Junior Motorsports cars in the top 5, Vince.
13th for Trevor Bayne, and I'm sure that he would like to have had a better finish than that, because you certainly were running up toward the front. What happened ultimately that dropped you back to 13?
Well, that thing was so good on 2 tires when we stayed out. We got track position, and we could just run away from everybody. We knew track position was going to be good. We had a pit stop and lost a couple spots, which wasn't that bad. We came out 3rd, but just being out front would have been huge. And then we got shuffled out a little bit to about 5th. So it's hard to pass here. No matter how good you are, it's just hard to pass. And so we finally got a couple of
those guys back and just got too tight at the end on 4 tires. And then we got back up to third on a restart. We were outside of the 33 off of 4, and I think I just talked to him, and he said he got loose. I don't know, he just used us up and almost spun us out, and we lost another 6 spots, and then later on that caused us to be in the back and get in that crash. But, we're fast enough. It's just hard when everybody's using you up all day long, but, I'm proud of these guys for the Ford Mustang they gave me today. Looked good with NESN on the side, but now it's a little bit beat up, so we'll have to fix it, but it's a fast race car.
Short track racing today, Marty.
It sure was, and as we get ready, there's a congratulations from Jack Roush as he talks to his young driver. We head down to the One Main Financial Victory Lane. Dr. Jerry Punch, it's all yours.
Kyle Busch climbing out here amid a shower of Gatorade and water, and winning his 49th NASCAR Nationwide Series race, tying the legendary Mark Martin as the all-time winningest driver and becoming only the 3rd driver in NASCAR history to reach the century mark. David Pearson, Richard Petty, how do those names sound? You right there with them now in terms of reaching 100 and moving up on wins.
Well, certainly mine's a little bit different, but certainly feels good. It means a lot, and especially to come out here and win for Z-Line Designs and get the 49th win in their car. Jim and Monica back at home, we can't do it without all their awesome support. They're here with us thick and thin and everything. And so NOS Energy Drink, Toyota, Nationwide Insurance, the fans, and Mark Martin to tie his record at 49 wins. That's something that's pretty awesome as well. And, it's a great opportunity to race in this series and to win that many. And now to do it's pretty neat.
How about the guy? Come here. Here's a guy that came to congratulate you. Mark Martin coming to congratulate. Mark, how about this, Mark? You got tied today in total wins.
Just incredible. Everybody forgets he's 26 years old. There are so many more out there for him.
What an incredible career, and what a great move. And Kyle, let's talk about the fact that only age 26, a lot of things to come. What about the rest of this year and the fact that leading the Cup points, maybe a first Cup title in the offing?
Well, certainly that's our first and foremost goal, and to be able to win that Cup championship and bring that home for Interstate Batteries, everybody at Mars, M&M's, and Snickers combos, all the people that help us on our Cup program. It's fun. I think that we can do it. Certainly, we've struggled a little bit here this weekend, but I think we'll get going here tomorrow. Dave and the guys will think about it tonight and try to work on it for us. But again, today it was just an awesome race. The pass for the win, I don't think was the pass on Ricky Stenhouse. It was more of the pass between the 22 and the 33 there through turn 4. Just kind of threading the needle. It was so hard to pass out there today that anytime you saw an opportunity, you better jump on it and try to get by and try to hold on if you could. But, those last couple of restarts, wasn't sure what was going to happen, but we got a good one. And, Harvick was right there on that last one there with me, but I beat him through 1 and 2. So, all in all, great day. And, again, Z-Line Designs, all the guys there from California and NOS Energy Drink, Toyota. It's really cool. Thank Nationwide Insurance.
Congratulations to Kyle Busch. Remember, his idol growing up was Jeff Gordon, who won his first Cup title at the age of 24. He wanted to be a driver that was successful before the age of 30, and oh my, at the age of 26, Marty, now 100 combined wins.
Great accomplishment, Doc, as the celebration will continue, well, at least for a while, as he'll get ready again to go tomorrow in the Sprint Cup race. In 2 weeks, we kick off our Sprint Cup coverage on ESPN, the Brickyard 400, our telecast presented by Golden Corral. That's Sunday, July 31st, noon Eastern on ESPN, and of course, all remaining 17 races, including the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the ESPN family of networks. Well, next week, a Saturday night race, NASCAR Nationwide Series at Nashville. Our coverage begins with Countdown, presented by One Main Financial at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Coming up next, it's Sports Center. Our congratulations again to Kyle Busch on win number 100. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For our entire crew, this is Marty Reed. Till we meet again.